All right, good evening. I'm going to go ahead and start this regular meeting. I'm going to call it to order at 7 o'clock, Tuesday, April 7th. Can I get a roll call, please?
Flores Kale,
Here.
Tobias, Goza,
Here.
Medina,
Here.
Zapata,
Here.
Harris,
Here.
McKinney.
Here.
All right, we have 6 present. We have a quorum. I'd like to make a motion to excuse Mayor Pro Tem Tobias. He had an emergency.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by myself, seconded by Councilmember McKinney. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Up next, and where is Tobias when we need him?
Mayor, would you like to do the pledge?
I'm sorry?
Would you like to do the pledge?
Yeah, I usually do it after this, but we can do it. That's fine. Yep, thank you. All right, we're all going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. All right. Thank you, Amy. All right, now we're going to, okay, thank you. We're going to do agenda item 1, approval of minutes. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve of minutes for the March 19th, 2026 special meeting, March 24, 2026 special meeting, and March 24, 2026 special 7 p.m. meeting.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Councilmember Zapata and a second by Councilmember Harris. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. All right, up next, we have citizens' comments. Before we start this, I'm going to just take it. Can I just do a second to say, I want to make sure that we are all being kind today and that we're being thoughtful. And as we come up and express how we feel, to be able to recognize that we may not all agree, but it's important to remain respectful. And so as we come up and we speak today, I ask that we talk to each other the way that we would want to be spoken to. So citizens' comments period. The city council welcomes comments from citizens early in the agenda of city council meetings. Those wishing to speak are encouraged to sign in before the meeting begins. Speakers are provided with an opportunity to speak during this time period on any agenda item or other matter concerning city business. And I ask that you observe the 3-minute time limit.
Mayor, did you want to announce the items that were being pulled for consideration?
Yes. Okay. So, because Mayor Pro Tem Tobias is not here, we are going to pull agenda item 37, and we're going to table that to the next meeting. We also are going to pull agenda item 19, 23, and 27. And then we're going to pull up agenda items 26, 27, and 28 due to time constraints.
I'm sorry, Mayor. Item 27, I don't believe needs to be pulled.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That's pulled from my own.
19 and 23.
19 and 23.
You're just pulling it earlier in the agenda for the time.
Yes.
26, 27, 28, we would ask that we move those up in the schedule.
All right. All right. I'm going to re-say that. So we're going to pull, meaning we're not going to discuss at this council meeting, agenda item 23 and 19, and then we're going to pull up forward 26, 27, 28 due to time constraints. All right. Thank you for that. So up next, we have the citizens' comments. The first person I have is Brandon Hill.
I'm sorry. We're good? All right, fantastic. Good evening. I just wanted to give an update with the ESD9 EMS transition into the city of Kyle. Wednesday, April 1st, we did have a successful transition and started running out of Fire Station 21 with our first medic unit. We ran our first call up near Mountain City about noon that day. So we have been successfully running operations since Wednesday with a crew on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The other thing I wanted to mention to you guys tonight is just a reminder of our kickoff event Saturday. We are doing that in conjunction with the market days here in the city of Kyle. So we will be over at Fire Station from 8 to 1, and we'll have our first pinning and swearing in ceremony starting at 11 o'clock, and we'd like to have you all there. So thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, up next, I have Leslie O'Pry.
It is? Okay, how about that? I'm writing to address a couple of concerns that have unfolded both at council meetings and on social media. On March 24th, Howard Connell spoke before this council. He stated that he had made several attempts to contact Councilmember Zapata regarding city business and had not ever received a response from her. His frustration was clear and evident. During his remarks, he said, "I'm on to you, and I'm going to stay on you because you have disrespected me. You get nothing from me, so just bear in mind that I'm coming after you. I'm really upset with you. You are not a public servant. You're an activist using Cal as a stepping stone for your political career. But you know what? I disagree with Howard. I don't think that you're an activist. I think that you're displaying trademarks of an agitator." After the meeting, Councilmember Zapata posted on one of the Facebook pages and described Mr. Connell's statement as a threat. Ms. Zapata, being reasonable, that statement did not constitute a threat of violence, and portraying it as such is inaccurate and baiting. As a matter of fact, I want to reference your podcast, Running for Office, episode 3, titled, "I'm Coming for You, Lloyd Doggett." At the end of that episode, you specifically said, "I'm coming for you, Lloyd Doggett." Being reasonable, I would also say here that your comment was not a threat of violence. That said, you also posted as, I'm going to say it wrong, Poder Concladia, and said, "One thing about me is that if you diss the Democrats that are running in deep red seats, you will catch these hands." Now that statement is concerning. In support of your council item 35, you ask for consequences for failure to enforce decorum during public comment and options for council to assume presiding authority when the mayor, chair, or mayor pro tem is unable or unwilling to fulfill those duties. In my opinion, this is another thinly veiled attack on Mayor Flores Cale. Enough, please. I ask that you reduce divisive statements and avoid repeated criticism of the mayor in this manner. A more measured and collaborative approach would better serve this community. As a final statement, I will say that I personally support your concerns regarding ICE 100%. However, disagreement does not equal a personal attack. Thank you.
Up next, I have Steve Thompson.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I just want to come online with the same thing that was being said before about Zapata, Councilperson Zapata, about them. She's now orchestrating another way to take our mayor out of the question here. And that is not what council members are there for. They're here to do the will of the people. The will of the people clearly was behind our mayor. And I'm very happy with what I've seen from her so far. It never ceases to amaze me. I'm 70 years old. I'm a disabled veteran. I have a daughter that's a disabled veteran. And I've seen a lot in my 70 years. And the thing of it is with what's going on in the world right now, the behaviors of the last 4 years and all of the things that came as a result of that have destroyed a big chunk of lives in this country. And we can't do that anymore. You can't keep, Zapata continues to try and usurp everything that she can and take over the proceedings, which is what all of this stuff is. It's all a power trip, and she's just simply trying to put herself in the position where she's the one that calls the shots. That's all I got. I just want to say thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Up next, I have Josh Keller.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Josh Keller. I am the former Trails Committee Chairperson. I'm here tonight to strongly support the proposed Trails Master Plan. I got involved in designing and helping build trails here in Kyle about 3.5 years ago. At that time when I started, I went to other communities, other towns and cities that had successful trail systems. The one thing that they all came back to me and said, the first thing you need to do is get a Trails Master Plan. So that's what I've been pushing for about 3.5 years. I really hope and believe that tonight's the beginning of positive impacts that will impact this city for decades and generations. Research shows trail systems return about $3 for every dollar invested. This is not an expense, it's a proven economic multiplier. I have reason to believe that if this won't be a 1 to 3 return, I think within the first year, because of the access to grants, this will be a 10 times return, just the first year, and then multiply that year after year. Obviously, I have a lot of faith in our Parks Department. I've been involved in talking with our Parks Department for about 3 years. They've shown, especially recently, how prepared and organized they are and how much research they do so projects like this can be successful. So the community has a lot of faith in our Parks Department coming from that perspective. I've been in about dozens, maybe hundreds of conversations that have similar sentiments about trails in Kyle. Usually they go something like, Kyle's a great place to raise a family, but it feels like every other city in America. We want to live in a city that has its own identity, an identity that revolves around smart, well thought out planning with innovative ideas to solve traffic problems, where people have built in access to trails that connect to schools, businesses, and parks, and where mental and physical health are as much a priority as commerce and development. So when we have these conversations, and I've had so many of these conversations with people, it kind of paints a picture of how we see Kyle with a trails plan in place and trails actively being built and designed. And it looks like a Kyle where families take bike rides to local restaurants, fourth graders choosing to ride their bikes to school because there are some fun features to ride along the way, teachers at Lehman High School getting students involved in after-school mountain bike club because there's new fun features at Waterleaf Park, a parent that just got home from work that can take a bike or an e-bike to pick up dinner instead of getting back into the car to go to H-E-B or a restaurant, middle schoolers that choose to go to a skate park or pump track and meet their friends outside rather than on Fortnite or on FaceTime, a mountain biker stopping on a trail to talk to bird watchers on the trail to find out what they've seen. That was inspired by my friend Mark back there. City council and staff sitting down with residents to talk about how to better connect their neighborhoods to outdoor spaces. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, up next, I have Travis Loy.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm actually coming to you all as an outsider. I do not live in Kyle. I live in South Austin, but I've taught at Hayes High School for over 12 years at this point. And the last 5 of these, I've been the head coach for the district-wide mountain bike team. Our mountain bike team currently has 30 students on it, drawn from all the way across the district. And they are currently at practice in South Austin, because we don't have a comprehensive trail program here. The Bowie High School team has 98 students on it. The Lake Travis mountain bike team has over 100 students on it because they've grown up in regions that have a comprehensive trail system. What Mr. Keller was talking about, having trails available to kids and adults only drives that opportunity to be outside. And who doesn't want that, you know? It all starts, though, with that comprehensive master plan. If you travel to cities like Boulder, Colorado, Bentonville, Arkansas, which has had a meteoric rise in tourism over the recent decades because they poured into their trail programs. I just highly encourage you guys to approve agenda item number 9 and fund that master plan planning and get it onto the books. The Parks Department is all in on this. I've been coming to the meetings, been to trail days out at Waterleaf Park, and our students have come out and contributed to those as well. And so right there, we can see how that can grow our community. One of the reasons why I still live in South Austin is I'm 2 blocks away from trails. I live in a house that's way too small for my family because we can't give that up. To come down here, we'd basically put ourselves into a situation where we'd have to get into a car in order to go enjoy the outside. And having that, having the Vibe Trail connecting all the parts of the city, not only to our parks, but also east and west. I mean, that is a huge divide over in the terms of that connectivity. I think that it would do nothing but promote the Kyle area, much like Bentonville would. So, thank you.
Thank you. Up next, I have David Kirtley.
Hey everyone, just initial line. So I'm also speaking in favor of the Vibe Trail agenda item number 9. This is not my bike. I just want to make that clear off the bat. This is my daughter's bike. She's 1.5 years old, and she loves riding this thing. Every morning, she takes this and takes it to the back door and bangs it against the door because she's trying to tell us that she wants to go ride her bike so much. And even at 1.5, and even on a tiny little bike like this, she's already running up against the boundaries of the trail system in Kyle. We live in the Plum Creek North area, and our neighborhood is bounded out by 1626, by Jackson Hayes Trail, and Culver's Crossing. These are all really busy, really dangerous roads. Not obviously roads you want to cross on a bike like this. I'm frankly afraid to cross them on a bike myself, and I'm an adult. So I think that having a trail system all through Kyle, did I get so excited? Oh no, I do have my remarks here. Okay, good. A trail system all through Kyle would be fantastic. When I was a kid, I was able to ride my bike to school. I was able to ride my bike to the library. I was able to ride my bike to the park, everywhere. And being able to ride my bike to the library had a hugely formative influence on me. The Kyle Public Library is a 20-minute bike ride from us. It's not far, it's flat. The problem is it's dangerous. The streets are dangerous, the roads are busy. And so I just really think it would be amazing if there were dedicated bike lanes where kids could ride and not have to worry about cars backing out of driveways, not having to worry. I don't have to worry about my daughter kind of veering into the road. The more trails, the better, as far as I'm concerned. It's especially good in our neighborhood because half of our neighborhood, again, Plum Creek North, is zoned to the Cullen Elementary School. And in order for families in our neighborhood to get to Cullen, they have to go down Old Stagecoach Road, up 150 to the main entrance of Anthem, and come all the way back up. Part of the Vibe Trail proposal is that there would be a Vibe Trail between our neighborhood and the Anthem neighborhood. You could ride out on a bike in literally 5 minutes. It's a 20-minute drive or more, depending on the traffic. So if my daughter has a friend in the Anthem neighborhood one day, and again, these are kids who will be going, many of them, to school together. I just think it would be fantastic if I were able to get on my bike with her and ride over to see her friends and not have to get in the car, not have to make that drive. Okay, also my dad is really into bicycling. This is gonna be quick. I'll make it quick. When he comes here, we have to get in our car and drive to particular neighborhoods and ride around those neighborhoods and then drive back because there are some neighborhoods in Kyle that are safe to bicycle around, but you can't get from one to the other. And as I think it was Travis was saying, it's really a shame to have to get in your car to drive to an area where you can bicycle. And then also, that's just one more car on the road, one more car in front of you at a stoplight, more traffic, more smog. So agenda item number 9. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, up next, I have Jason Payne, please. Jason Payne.
Honorable Mayor, distinguished members of the City Council, I'm Jason Payne. I am currently the commander of the VFW here in Kyle, Post 12058. And as I'm transitioning into my next role as the DAT Director of Operations for our Disaster Actions Team, I'm starting to try to come in and give you a little breakdown on things that have happened and everything. So probably be seeing more and more of me at the City Councils. Coming up in the 17th and 18th, I believe, of this month, we are doing a Disaster Action Team Academy. We have flyers at the post that you can get on to sign up, and it's going to be from 12 to 5 both days, and it's going to give you everything you need to be able to start responding to disaster action calls around the Kyle area and stuff for the in support of the Red Cross mission. That being said, it's been a slow 2 weeks. We only had one call. We did respond to Area Spring Branch for a fully destroyed trailer that was total loss. The client lost everything, including one of her pets. So she's dealing with that right now. We were able to get in touch with her Friday, meet up with her Saturday, and get her some assistance, get her in contact with some different organizations and stuff within the Red Cross portfolio, as well as we were able to get her to set up a time to come to the Kyle VFW and have some access to our community closet, her losing everything she had, keys, IDs, clothing, stuff like that for going to work. So we were able to work with her, and we'll continue to work with her to keep on going. Also, keep in mind in May, it's going to be the week of Memorial Day, so the week of the 25th. We are doing a huge blowout that whole week. We're going to have some stuff at Gemstone Palace to include a day of mental health and refurbishment. Like I like to say, I use those fancy words. But we're going to have the Red Cross there doing blood drive. We're going to have some people there to help with mental awareness and, different skills for decompression, some massage therapists, stuff like that's going to be there for everyone to be able to come in and take part of and enjoy the festivities and, take care of their mental health and work with each other during Memorial Day week. Also, we just want to thank everybody for the opportunity to continue to be here and to serve and to be with y'all. And, just let us know if you need anything. You have our number. You know where we are, and just come by. And also come to breakfast on Fridays at 8. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, I have Carol Dugans.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Carol Dugans, and I live in the Kyle ETJ area. I am here tonight because of a recent vote to increase water rates by 77% for ETJ residents. Had a very real impact and immediate impact on families like mine. This is not something you don't notice. This is not something families simply absorb. And yet, based on your vote, it is clear this council did not consider the impact of families like mine. I also heard the comment that residents in the ETJ area will not notice the increase because they can afford it. This statement is not only inaccurate, it is inappropriate. No one should ever determine what another person can afford based on assumptions about their personal finances. And yet, based on your vote, it is clear this council did not consider the impact on families like mine. Because of these rates, I now have to plan my life around water usage. I time my hair washings, I time my showers, I space out home projects by month so I don't trigger a massive water bill in a single cycle. I monitor my water softener like a hawk. I even have to be careful about how many people I invite to stay overnight because extra showers and laundry can push the bill even higher. And yet, based on your vote, it is clear this council did not consider the impact on families like mine. ETJ residents contribute to Cal's economy every day. We shop here, we dine here, we support local businesses, and we invest in this community. But we have no vote, no representation, no voice in decisions like this. When you raise rates disproportionately on people who cannot vote for you, it creates a system where we pay more but matter less. And yet, based on your vote, it is clear that this council did not consider the impact on families like mine. But possible solutions: conduct an independent rate impact study that includes ETJ households. Number 2, create an ETJ advisory committee so we have a voice in decisions that affect us. Number 3, implement a tier rate structure that reflects actual usage and cost of services. Number 4, provide a real-time usage dashboard so families can monitor water consumption before the bill arrives. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I just want to make sure I got your name right. It's up next. I have Paige Giordano.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Paige Giordano. I'm a homeowner and resident of the city in Kyle. I voted in the last election, and I was not paid to come here and speak tonight, and I was not given anything to read. All my comments are my own. I'm here today to support agenda items 35 and 36, which direct staff to research to add amendments to the rules of council and the code of conduct. I support these items because, unfortunately, 2 weeks ago at the last meeting, a constituent threatened one of our council members. The mayor and mayor pro tem failed to enforce the rules of council and the rules of engagement. Updating the city's code of conduct and rules benefit Kyle in the future. If something of this magnitude were to happen again, where both mayor and mayor pro tem fail to act. There are other ways to end these rules everyone agreed on when they were sworn in. The mayor did put out a statement following this event saying anyone could have called a point of order, but as leaders of the council and as the chair, I believe that you have more responsibility to bear. In this statement, she also said everyone here on the dais or at public comment should feel safe. However, there are comments that she liked from her personal and her mayor account defending the threatening actions of this constituent, which calls into question what the mayor truly believes and has emboldened this behavior to continue so much so these actually come to my DMs to argue with me about this exact event because I just said that his apology was lacking. Speaking of liking comments, the second item I'd like to discuss is online conduct of Kyle elected council members. I'd like to preface this as saying, as a private citizen, you can say whatever you want online. The consequences of that, if there are any, would only reflect yourself and your own reputation. However, as a sworn-in elected official, any way you engage online publicly will reflect back on the rest of Kyle, even from a personal account. I've printed out examples of when the mayor has liked comments that are negative and negatively directed towards CM Zapata and inflammatory in nature. I also have comments here defending the actions of the threatening constituent from the last meeting. These are from her mayoral account. Optically, even when you don't mean it or a like or heart to agree with the comment 100%, liking comments like this cosigns everything in that comment because the action of liking is inherently lacking nuance. And to pretend otherwise is ignorant. I won't read all the comments here that I have, but one of them that she liked said, "Put a cork in it. The other one said these agenda items are useless. She also gave a constituent access to resources on how to start a recall petition for the same council member, which I feel was disrespectful. And she also liked a comment that said disagreeing with someone is not a threat. Okay.
Nope, let her continue, please.
As a mayor of a city of 65,000 people, your words have power. People are watching every interaction you make online, and acting this way publicly reflects on our city in a way that is embarrassing. As a resident of Kyle, I feel kind of embarrassed about how all of this is going on. I feel like it's unprofessional and unbecoming of elected officials, and I'm begging everyone on this dais to do better. This has undoubtedly caused a hostile work environment for the rest of council, and all this does is hurt the constituents that you represent. We cannot focus on what matters most when the instigating actions persist. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, I have Monica Becerra.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Monica Becerra. I want to thank the council for the opportunity to speak tonight on something I believe matters deeply to all of us, the safety and well-being of the people who serve on this very body, you. The reality of public service is it is not easy. Every single person seated at this dais made a courageous choice to step into a role where your decisions, your votes, and your words are on public display for all to see. And no matter your position, with that visibility comes criticism. That is not just expected, it is healthy. Vigorous debate, passionate disagreement, and even sharp public commentary are the lifeblood of democracy. That is how this country was designed to work. But there is a difference between criticism and a threat. There is a difference between someone saying, I disagree with your vote, and someone saying, you will regret this. One is democracy, the other is a threat veiled in intimidation. I've heard some suggest that any rules protecting government officials might somehow infringe on free speech. I want to address that directly. The First Amendment is one of our most sacred rights, and I am not here to diminish it in any way. Political discourse, even harsh, uncomfortable, pointed political discourse, is fully protected, and it should be. That protection is not in question. What is not protected and what has never been protected is a threat against another person. The law has always drawn the line, and now I'm asking this council to draw it locally, clearly, firmly, and on the record. Adopting formal policies to address threats is not a restriction on speech. It is reaffirming, that we take law seriously and that everyone in this chamber deserves to feel safe no matter how much we disagree. There are people watching tonight, residents of every background and every belief. Many of them are wondering whether public service is worth it, whether standing up for their community will put a target on their back. The message we send tonight matters. I urge this council to adopt clear rules and regulations to address threats made against its members, not to silence critics, not to shield elected officials from accountability, but to make plain that in this community we can disagree loudly, forcefully, passionately, without resorting to fear tactics. You all lovingly serve us, and I hope we can make sure you are safe while you do it. Thank you for your service to this community, truly, and for taking the time to listen to me. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, up next, I have Hunter Leger, AKA Coach Leger.
Good evening, thanks. Hunter Leger, I am a PE teacher here in Kyle. I've taught some of your children. I am here for consent agenda number 9 as well. So my family has lived here for about 14 years now. We've raised both my kids here. They are 13 and 10 now. The trail system right now has grown exponentially since we've been here. And it's grown with my kids, and my kids have been able to grow with it. We use it daily, except when it's raining, because we don't want to mess it up. But we use it all the time. As a PE teacher, right down the road, We encourage the kids to get on it as much as possible. If it weren't for the trail system, my kids probably wouldn't get out very often. They don't like playing in the streets. They don't like typical sports. So they hike, they run, they throw frisbees, they go bicycling. So this, being able to connect the entire city with each other, and then eventually even Austin through San Marcos, would help our city so much, getting outside and just enjoying life. I'm gonna cut it short. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, up next I have Janelle Reyes.
Good evening, council and mayor and citizens behind me. So I've emailed all of y'all, and I'm just going to introduce myself in the way I normally do. Mayor, council, my name is Janelle Rios. I have a Master's of Sustainability, a Texas State alumni, and a Tactical Director of Operations for RKB Ops here in Kyle. Excuse me, I'm struggling with the chesty thing. I was raised on the values of don't mess with Texas, a legacy that taught us stewardship isn't a suggestion, it's a duty, a civic duty. For too long, Kyle has been playing catch up with the rapid growth. Tonight, I'm offering this council the opportunity to finally get ahead of the curve and lead the state in environmental accountability. The invisible crisis, the mow-blow cycle. The current development standard in this city is failing our land. Developers utilize a mow-blow strategy. They see tall grass and they level it. But underneath that grass is 50 years of legacy industrial waste. When an industrial mower hits a plastic bucket or a chemical drum at 10 miles per hour, it acts like a mechanical shredder. It pulverizes waste into billions of micro fragments that are instantly unrecoverable. This mow-blow cycle doesn't just create an eyesore, it creates a permanent microplastic liability that flows directly into the Plum Creek. Right? Don't we all love Plum Creek? I do. I don't know about you, and it seems like this Kyle Coalition, Trail Coalition is right on the money. So what I'm doing today is saying this is happening because there's a total vacuum of enforcement between raw land and excavation. Developers are choosing to be complacent with trash because they know nobody's watching. And we're looking at y'all. So my thing is this, the generation gap. When my team performs forensic audits, we are met with I didn't know rationalizations, which is negligence because you know. You step on it, you walk over it, you see it when you drive. I gotta tell you, yesterday I drove around Kyle for 2 hours. And if y'all don't believe me, go look at everything in Kyle, Facebook pages. I'm blowing it up, guys. I'm tired of seeing trash. And my kids are tired of seeing trash. I play in steeplechase, where the trail should be going too, right? But I play in steeplechase. My dogs play in steeplechase. My kids go to Lehman. They've gone to Fuentes. Idea Kyle is sitting on trash. Trash. I've emailed Langley. I've emailed all of y'all. I've emailed David Lopez, who says it's fine, things are great. I beg all of y'all to reconsider the way we're going. And if you don't hire my business, that's fine. But get out there and do something different because what's happening is not okay. We have no blue bonnets in Kyle. Who's sad about that? I am. We have trash, lots of trash. If we want to be a leader, then lead. Don't just say, come on, build. Because at what cost are we building? What are we doing? Thank y'all for your time.
Thank you. Up next, I have Howard Connell.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You know, I spent a lot of time preparing my speech tonight. But at the end of the day or the end of this evening, I had to look at myself and say, Howard, you've always fought for Kyle because you believe in Kyle, you love it, and I do love it. In the interest of that, I'm going to forego my rights, my First Amendment rights tonight to free speech. I know my rights. Other people can read the First Amendment, but they don't understand how it applies. And it is so liberal that it really tells you more what you can't do rather what you can do. So all I ask is that I'm a little intimidated by all the smoke and mirrors and the hype on the internet and the threats and everything else. And I see some of these people back here, a lot of them I don't even recognize, and quite honestly, it's a little intimidating. And 35 and 36 are going to be late on the agenda. It's going to be dark out there. And I don't know these people, and I don't like crowds. And I would just like to have the officers watching me as I go to my vehicle tonight, because I'm going to leave for my own safety and the greater good of Kyle. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, I have Michael McDonald.
Good evening. I'd like to speak on agenda item 36, 35, and 36 regarding the possibility of changing rules of council written and presented by Council Member Zapata. Agenda item 35 says that you would like to amend the rules of council. This is called intimidation. And while trying to change the rules and to silence dissenting voices, shame on you. Councilmember Zapata, I am both a resident of Kyle and a legal citizen of the United States of America. I have the First Amendment that protects my freedom of speech. What your amendment proposes to do is to infringe on our First Amendment right to free speech by using fear and retaliatory tactics. Bottom line is this: you are trying to silence and intimidate those who disagree with you. As a reminder, this scheme is what dictators use in socialistic societies. Unfortunately for you, the United States is a free republic where we the people have the freedom to speak our mind, whether it be in the majority or in the minority. Make no mistake about it, this particular amendment to the rules of council is a Trojan horse. Councilmember Zapata wants to be able to silence our God-given right to free speech by changing the rules of council. If this proposed amendment comes up for a vote, it should fail because this proposed amendment infringes on our First Amendment protection. Should council member Zapata be held to a higher standard, or should we just give her a pass and allow her to continue throwing tantrum when she doesn't get her way? For example, her outburst on March 3rd, 2026, 6 p.m. special meeting. You personally attacked our mayor, calling her a liar. Your false accusations contain 0% proof, which you conveniently did not provide. You should have been reprimanded for your lack of decorum because you were completely out of order. The mayor showed you unmerited grace while under your attack. Your actions at that meeting revealed who the real Claudia Zapata is. Don't be fooled. She is not the innocent victim as she tries to portray. She is a perpetrator of fear and intimidation who will use everything possible to get her agenda passed. You posted on your official city Facebook page that you were threatened and targeted because you stand with immigrants when Howard Connell said, "I'm coming for you." Everyone, even you, knew what Howard meant. Just like everyone knew what you meant when you told Lloyd Doggett, "I'm coming for you, Lloyd Doggett." Funny, you said the same thing, but no one misunderstood you. Talking about hypocrisy, that's a perfect example. Regarding agenda item 36, this proposed amendment also uses fear and retribution to silence citizens of Kyle who are serving on city boards, commissions, and advisory bodies. By using fear to control the dissenting voices of these citizens, you are trampling their First Amendment right and silencing them as well. If this proposed amendment comes up for a vote, it should fail because this proposed amendment also violates our First Amendment right. And to you, Council Members Zapata, I will not fear to be intimidated by your proposed amendments to free speech. I will continue to speak as a citizen and as a board member during citizen comments, regardless of whether you try to use fear and intimidation to silence my voice and the voices of others. If you do not like free speech, move to a socialist society where they control your speech. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, I have Stephanie McDonald.
Good evening, Mayor Flores Kale and City Council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak before you tonight. I would like to ask you to move items 35 and 36 to the top of the discussion. We have so many pressing issues facing our city right now, but we'll have to pause them to deal with Councilmember Zapata trying to take away our First Amendment rights. You accused a resident of threatening you to your face. He said he was coming after you. It was definitely not a threat of bodily harm, and we all know it. He meant that he would continue to call out your self-serving agenda. You used the same language towards U.S. Representative Lloyd Doggett. I would imagine he took no action against you. You also said if you diss Democrats that are running for office in the deep red seats, you will catch these hands. Now that is a threat of bodily harm. It's a threat. The meaning is someone is about to be hit, punched, or engaged in a physical fight. Our mayor has presided over meetings in an exemplary manner and has in fact shown you much grace even after you being attacked by Councilmember Zapata. Sea lioning is a polite form of trolling or harassment where a speaker maintains a veneer of feigned extreme politeness and civility while relentlessly pestering others with demands for evidence or explanations, quote, just to be clear. They repeatedly request certification even after answers have been given. They demand increasingly specific or unreasonable proof to continuously reject the other side's position. They thread hijack, which is shifting focus from the original topic to an ongoing demand for evidence, consuming time and attention. They appear to seek information, but aim to aggravate, stall, or discredit rather than understand. They fake ignorance. The person plays dumb about basic or easily accessible information to force others to waste time and energy explaining it. They crave the last word. Despite a polite exterior, the goal is not to learn, but to exhaust, annoy, or provoke their victims, derail the meeting's flow. When cut off, the sea lion can then claim that they are being silenced or that they are being discriminated against. Councilmember Zapata, you cannot be productive on council by only focusing on your personal agenda. You represent all the citizens of Kyle. You cannot expect people to respect you when you disrespect them. As a city leader, you need to hold yourself to a higher standard. At the workshop, you helped craft rules calling for respecting citizens during council meetings, and as well as your fellow council members. Yet as soon as that meeting was over, you personally attacked the mayor from the dais. Rules of council say members of council may not personally attack each other. Stop demanding the spotlight and begin leading with integrity. I would urge you all to vote against agenda items 35 and 36. Ms. Becerra, when she just spoke, is intimating that the words spoken to council members Zapata were a threat. They were not. They were the same words she said to a United States representative. She's used divisive language, offensive language, and made a personal attack against our mayor. She spoke about being kind, respectful, etc., and has demonstrated the opposite. She has more of a do as I say, not as I do attitude, and the citizens of the city are fed up and want to see a change. We don't need agenda items 35 and 36. We haven't needed them in the past. What we need is for Councilmember Zapata to rein in her rhetoric at our meetings and online. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Up next, I have Jesse Pavia.
Good evening, City Council. I'm here to talk about a simple subject real quick. I am a recent resident to the Kyle area. I actually live in Ulen. And in the east side of Kyle, we have no safety out there. I hear these individuals, and nothing against them, obviously, speak to you guys about wanting to improve trails and things for their community on the west side. I'm here to ask, when are we going to get that for the east side? The east side of Kyle has no safety at all. We have no sidewalks, no form of safety for our children or our elderly, yet the west side of Kyle is completely developed and continues to get developed on a daily basis. So I'm asking you guys, when you guys are going to try and put something together. As our taxes continue to go up, we see less and less improvement on our side, yet we see more and more improvement on the west side. So when can we see improvement come to the east side? When can we see sidewalks get put in on the east side, road improvements put in on the east side, so that I can stop watching elderly men and women and children walk on the side of the road, in the road, and fear for their lives not being hit by a car? When can we get that? Instead of looking at these trails right now and improving that, when can we get some improvement to the east side? Because right now you guys are not doing anything for us out there. Yeah, you guys are bringing and doing development for Kohler's Crossing, but what is that going to do for us in that community when we have no way to get there or safely, when these guys don't have cars and they're walking and they're in the middle of the road? I fear that what it's going to take is for you guys to see fatal occurrence occur in order for some action to be taken. And that's what I'm here to try to prevent. I've seen it plenty of times living in the city of Austin my entire life, where the city of Austin drops the ball. They wait for a fatal occurrence to occur before they decide a light has to be put up here, traffic stop, or something has to be done. I'm not trying to see that happen here. So I'm asking for you guys to put something forward to see what we can do to have some improvements done for the east side of Kyle. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, I have Alicia Hill.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Alicia Hill, and I'm going to address agenda items 35 and 36. Policies about decorum, conduct, and enforcement. Before this council imposes new rules on others, we need to address a basic question. Do these standards apply equally to all council members? Because right now, the public is seeing inconsistency. Council member Zapata has said, "A man stood in our public podium and threatened me." She's using that claim to justify new enforcement mechanisms. For the record, he didn't threaten her. He is an elderly disabled man whom you disrespected publicly. Shame on you. But the record also shows a pattern of escalation. Ms. Zapata and her politically organizing around issues outside of council's jurisdiction, followed by calls to mobilize and turn out public to shape the public comment. Ms. Zapata is using her position to organize political movements around issues this council has no jurisdiction over. She's using social media to mobilize crowds and direct public comment for specific agenda outcomes, turning council meetings into extended political forums and delay and derail actual city business. And now presenting herself as a victim to justify new rules that expand control over speech and participation. We have seen the result. Meetings are extended for hours, city business delayed or tabled. The chamber was used for a national political advocacy rather than municipal governance. That is not a one-off. That is a pattern of conduct for Ms. Zapata. And when we talk about standards, we have to talk about consistency in language and expectations. Councilmember Zapata in a social media post said this: "One thing about me is if you diss Democrats that are running for office in deep red seats, you will catch these hands." Those are her words. That sounds like threatening language to me, so we need clarity. Are we applying single standard for what constitutes threatening or inappropriate language? Or are standards being applied differently depending on who's speaking? Because residents are noticing the difference, and it sounds like a First Amendment violation to me. The council is supposed to represent all residents of Kyle, not just your secular groups, Ms. Zapata. And that comes with responsibility to maintain professionalism from the dais, use official platforms for municipal purposes, keep council meetings focused on city business, apply standards evenly without favoritism, but those standards have to have credibility, and they must start here with consistent expectations for council members themselves. Otherwise, these policies will not be accountability, they will be selective enforcement. I am requesting agenda items 35 and 36 be brought forward to the top and urge this council to ensure that any standards adopted are applied equally, consistently, and within the scope of municipal governance. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Those are all the forms I have. Does anybody else want to come up and speak? Just make sure you give your form to Jennifer.
Good evening, City Council and Mayor. This is Betty Conley from the Kyle Area Senior Zone. I very rarely get up and speak about anything other than CAS, but tonight I do feel I have to say something. To intimidate and spin something your way because you didn't like what somebody said is wrong. You have to hold yourself up, every one of you, to a higher standard. This is a political forum here. People are going to be upset. They're going to be passionate about their views. You've had it on your dais. We have it out here in the audience. But that doesn't give us a right to pit each other and groups of people against each other. It doesn't give us a right to spin something that you know is not true. You used the words yourself, and we knew he was talking about he's going to call you out on everything you do wrong. And so I, as a citizen of Kyle, and speaking up for just myself, was insulted with what I read online. I feel that that should not be the place that we try to stir up more trouble that isn't true to begin with, and we need to concentrate on city business. If we keep going, and I mean everybody, the way we are, we're not going to get anything done. And that's going to be so sad because you have a council here that can't move because they're being detoured because somebody's having a tantrum and didn't like what somebody said. We need to concentrate on city business. We need to get the roads done. We need to help the people with the water and the ETJ. We need to concentrate on those things and not because my feelings were hurt or somebody stepped on my toes. Like I tell the people at CAS, I don't mean to step on your toes. Number one, if I do, you're going to know I stepped on it. I said, but I don't mean to. I can't fix it if you're going to turn it around, complain, and say something that isn't true. Come to me, let's work it out, let's be civil and respect each other and get the work done, because we're all in it for the same goal. We're all in it for the city and for the people. And if you're on the board for your own agendas, I suggest you get off.
All right. I don't have any more forms, so seeing no more, I'm going to go ahead and close citizens' comments. I think we decided to do the proclamations first before we do executive. Is that correct? All right. So we're going to head up agenda item 6, proclamations and recognitions. First up is a proclamation recognizing Child Abuse Prevention Month. I am the presenter of this, and I was asked by, is Hayes Caldwell Women's Shelter here? There you are. All right. Thank you so much. So I was reading this proclamation, and it was really hard. It's kind of heartbreaking. So thank you for providing the language, and I'll go ahead and start. Whereas more than 51,985 victims of child abuse and neglect were confirmed in Texas in 2025, resulting in 4,287 children in foster care in Texas and the death of 125 children in Texas in 2025. And whereas 388 children were confirmed victims of abuse in Hays County in 2025. And whereas child abuse prevention is a community responsibility, and finding solutions depends on involvement among all people. Through the perseverance of our many community organizations working daily to end child abuse, we continually serve children throughout the pandemic. And whereas local representatives from Hays County Child Protective Board, Hays County District Attorney's Office, Hays Caldwell Women's Center and Roxanne's House, Greater San Marcos Youth Council, Texas Department of Family and Protective Services, Court-Appointed Special Advocates, which is CASA, San Marcos, Kyle and Buda Police Department, Hays County Sheriff's Office, Bluebirds Hope, and Christus Santa Rosa in San Marcos have joined forces to provide preventative and supportive services to children victims and their families. And whereas every child in Kyle deserves to be safe, nurtured, and supported in caring relationships. Now, therefore, I, Yvonne Flores Kell, by virtue of the authority vested in me as a mayor of City of Kyle, Texas, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2026 as Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month, and do hereby call upon the citizens of Kyle to work together to raise awareness and prevent child abuse in our community and beyond. In testimony whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of City of Kyle, Texas, on the 7th day of April 2026. Would you guys like to come up and speak?
Thank you so much, council members and mayor. I have been in this movement for over 20, going on 25 years. I started off as a police officer, so I know firsthand what it's like to answer the calls to a domestic violence situation where children are involved. We at Hayes Caldwell Women's Center are very passionate about this, and we continue to strive to make at least a little dent in this epidemic that we have, that it's been around for so many years. However, now with social media, with proclamations being signed throughout Texas, more people are getting involved. So thank you so much for allowing us this opportunity to sign this proclamation and make the citizens of Kyle and Hayes County aware of this epidemic.
You bet.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Vianney, and I am a case manager at Greater San Marcos Youth Council. On behalf of our agency, I want to thank the mayor of Kyle and the city council members for recognizing Child Abuse Prevention Month. Our mission is to protect children and strengthen families, and we are eager to share this mission with our community. Over the past year, we have provided shelter for 136 children who had to be removed from their homes due to abuse and neglect. These children arrive alone, frightened, and often just with the clothes that they're wearing on their backs. Prevention is crucial. Last year, our phase program served 1,280 individuals. Through this program, we aim to strengthen families by teaching them how to resolve crisis and develop healthy coping and parenting skills. Children thrive when they grow up with their families and maintain strong connections and communities. To help families flourish and prevent issues such as child abuse, neglect, and family separation, it is vital to implement effective prevention strategies. Local resources and community support are essential for preventing child abuse, and we are extremely grateful for your support of our mission, for the vital work that the other organizations present do for the children and the families in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, I have a proclamation recognizing Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month. The item presenter is Councilmember Medina.
Thank you. Whereas 6.3 million Texans have experienced some form of sexual assault in their lifetime, and whereas 2 in 5 women and 1 in 5 men in Texas have been sexually assaulted in their lifetime, affecting all races, ages, genders, and economic situations, and whereas the Hayes Caldwell Women's Center provided direct services to 471 adult victims of sexual assault in Hayes and Caldwell counties last year, and whereas the city of Kyle is intolerant of sexual violence in any form and recognizes that education and awareness may prevent sexual assault, and whereas efforts to reduce sexual assault can only be successful through citizen involvement and the safety of the citizens of the city of Kyle depends upon our actions to end sexual assault. Now, therefore, I, Melissa Medina, by virtue of the authority vested in me, as Council Member District 2 of the City of Kyle, Texas, do hereby proclaim April 2026 as Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month. In testimony whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of Kyle, Texas, the 7th day of April 2026.
All right, thank you. Is this also the Hayes Caldwell? Okay, does anybody want to come up and speak? If not, we could just take a picture. I wanted to wait until both the proclamations were read in order to do it. All right, so we're going to take a picture with both proclamations that we just read. Thank you.
I'm going to lower this. Get it out of the way there. Alrighty.
1, 2, 3. Okay. And then over here.
All right, up next, we have a proclamation recognizing Harper Clace, okay? Recipient of the Hayes County Youth Poetic Laureate Contest. Item presenter is Mark McKinney.
I think the skill of the written word is kind of a fading skill, and anytime our youth want to pursue strengthening that, it should be honored and just drawn attention to. So, whereas Harper Clace possesses a remarkable gift for expressing complex emotions and experiences through prose, script, and song, transforming feeling into vivid and meaningful art, and whereas they honed their craft through participation in songwriting workshops with Own Your Own Universe and Cheatham Street Music Foundation, contributed writing to independent films, collaborated with Book People's Teen Press Corps, and were recognized as a finalist in the I Am Texas Writing and Art Contest. And whereas Harper Clace is currently a freshman at Austin Community College, pursuing studies in culinary arts and social work with plans to transfer to a four-year university to further education in social work and public health. And whereas they demonstrate a deep commitment to service as an active volunteer with local food ministries, including Ancora Ministries, Kyle United Methodist Church, and the Texas Wesley Foundation. And whereas Harper Clace was honored with the 2026 Hayes Youth Poet Laureate, earning $1,000 award and an opportunity for a first book publication. And whereas the Hayes Youth Poet Laureate program is part of a broader initiative founded by the literary nonprofit organization Infrarealista Review, which seeks to inspire individuals of all ages to engage with and appreciate the art of poetry. And whereas Harper Clace aspires to continue creating impactful and meaningful artistic works that resonate with and reflect the lives of others. And whereas they live in Kyle, Texas, with parents Jody and Sean Clace, siblings Marley Clace, and their dog Toto Lee. Now, therefore, I, Mark McKinney, by virtue of the authority vested in me as council member District 5 of City of Kyle, do hereby proclaim this recognition of Harper Clace, in testimony whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of City of Kyle, Texas, the 7th day of April, 2026.
Thank you.
They are in attendance. I don't know if they would like to come up and say something. We would love to have that.
I was going to give you, Councilman, and you, Mayor, a book of mine. I was going to read one of the poems I had written for a contest previous. It's called I Am Not Texas. I also want to thank y'all for the opportunity to be here tonight. I am not Texas. I am my mother's child. I am from where grass is green and its roots are sickly, where everything is perfect on the outside. I am not Texas. I am grown from hatred and misunderstandings. I am a product of immigration. I do not know from where. I am not Texas, even though I have its blood coursing through my veins and through my heart. I am not enough and yet too much. I am my mother's child and her mother's grandchild. I do not know from where. Because some questions are too much or not enough to answer. I am not your Texas. I am everyone else's. I am for the people who cannot look to the future because they do not know their past. Thank you. And I also want to say thank you to all of my teachers I've had in Hayes CISD for supporting me to get where I am today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can we get a picture?
Yes, absolutely. All right, if we can take a quick picture, please. We can get up there, can't we? We want to be here.
Feeling up to. Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
sorry, my screen turned off. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Awesome.
Thank you. All right, up next, we have special recognition of animal control for Animal Control Officer Appreciation Week. Item presenter, Jeff Barnett.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you very much. My name is Jeff Barnett, Chief of Police. I'd like to take a moment to recognize a vital group of professionals who serve our community with compassion, expertise, and dedication, and that's our Kyle Police Department's Animal Control Division. Animal Control Officer Appreciation Week is observed April 12th and through April the 18th, and it provides an opportunity to acknowledge the important work that these officers do to protect both public safety and animal welfare throughout our city. In 2025, our dispatch center received 4,691 animal control calls for service. These calls range from barking complaints to loose livestock, with the majority involving unrestrained animals. These situations often require quick response, sound judgment, and careful handling, especially when public safety, traffic, or the well-being of the animal is at risk. Over the course of the year, our animal control officers successfully reunited and returned 403 animals to their owners, and an additional 48 were reunited through the shelter services. These numbers reflect not only the enforcement efforts, but also a strong commitment to reuniting pets with their families whenever possible. Beyond daily operations, the Animal Control Division has been working tirelessly on planning our new animal shelter in partnership with Hays County and the City of Buda. This facility is being designed to meet the needs of our growing community both now and in the future years. Our Animal Control Supervisor, Brianna Geddes, has been working closely with the architects throughout the design and planning process to ensure that this shelter is modern, clean, and appropriately sized. The new facility will include adequate space not only for housing animals, but also training rooms and a dedicated clinical space for veterinarians to conduct health checks, provide vaccinations, and perform spay and neuter services, significantly expanding our ability to care for animals humanely and responsibly. The Animal Control Division is currently fully staffed with 1 supervisor and 4 animal control officers, and I'd like to recognize each of them by name. Our Animal Control Supervisor, Brianna Geddes. Our animal control officers are Austin Palomino, Connor Shelton, Casey Sparkman, and Riley Tidwell. These professionals are here in the room tonight. They respond to a wide range of calls for service under very challenging conditions, often serving as problem solvers, educators, and advocates all at the same time. Their work plays a key role in maintaining the quality of life for our residents while ensuring animals in our community are treated with care and respect. On behalf of the Kyle Police Department, I want to thank our animal control team for their continued service, their professionalism, and their dedication to our community. I would also like to thank the Mayor and Council for your ongoing support for these essential services and the division in our Kyle Police Department, our animal control services. Thank you.
All right, thank you. You guys want to come up here? They didn't want to come up here? You guys come on.
Yeah.
These are the employees he was just speaking of, so I want to give him proper recognition. This is the boss lady right here, Brianna. All right. Here, get up and take a quick picture. Is that okay?
Yeah, would you mind if it's okay if they get a picture right
Absolutely.
there?
Do you want to get in there? No? Okay. All right. Yes. Yep. All right. All right. Come on. Okay, are we good? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Thank you, guys. There's another one, right?
Got one more.
All right, thank you. And up next, we have Chief Barnett yet again, special recognition of emergency communications for National Telecommunicator Week, April 12th through the 18th, 2026.
Mayor and Council, thank you again for allowing me the opportunity to appreciate our our well-working, hardworking staff in front of you again tonight. I'd like to take this moment to recognize another group of professionals who work often out of sight, but whose impact is felt in every call for help and every officer response. And this is our emergency communications personnel. National Telecommunicators Week, as they are called, is observed April 12th through April the 18th of each year. And it gives us an opportunity to publicly acknowledge the critical role that these men and women play in public safety in our community every single day. In 2025, our telecommunicators answered 25,067 community-initiated calls for service and handled 17,000 officer-initiated calls for service and 480 broadcasts for a total of 42,649 calls for service. The call volume continues to increase each year, and each year our telecommunications officers rise to meet that demand with professionalism, precision, and dedication. They don't just answer calls, they answer those calls quickly. In 2026, the average answering time for both 911 and non-emergency administrative calls is just 3.96 seconds. Yes, we track that. Well under the national recommended standard of 15 seconds. 99.84% of all calls were answered in under 15 seconds, and 100% were answered within 20 seconds. Those seconds matter, and their performance directly contributes to lives being saved and emergencies being managed effectively. Last year also marked an important step toward the establishment of our Real-Time Crime Center, which delivers real-time crime intelligence and analytical support to our patrol operations, investigations, and critical incidents. This capability enhances situational awareness for our officers in the field and strengthens our ability to respond quickly and decisively to evolving situations. Our emergency communications team is made up of an outstanding group of professionals. The Kyle Police Department currently employs 4 lead telecommunication operators, 11 full-time and 2 part-time telecommunication operators. Supporting them are 2 real-time crime analysts who are also licensed telecommunicators. And we have a communications compliance coordinator, a supervisor, and a manager, and I'd like to also recognize them briefly by name. Our emergency communications manager, and we should see the group if they're not back there, if they want to come up towards the front, is Miss Ashley Menning. She's the emergency communications manager. Our emergency communications compliance coordinator is Miss Holly Chase, and our emergency communications supervisor, Miss April Sines. Our lead telecommunication officers are Christina Hefner, Denise Lewis, Carrie Solito, and Jennifer Wood. Our telecommunications officers answering 911 are Caitlin Benson, Thayer Brown, Lexi Charrington, Elizabeth Kristen, Madison Eskew, Kaylee Fleming, Seneca Horn, Joe Martone, Monica Pata, Desiree Ramos, Yadira Torres, Harley West, and Leanne Whiteside. And lastly, our 2 real-time crime center analysts are Bronson Armijo and Dustin Mata. These professionals are the calm voice on the other end of the line, the link between public and first responders, and a vital part of our police operations. On behalf of the Kyle Police Department, I want to thank them for their service, their commitment, and their exceptional work that they do every day. Mayor and Council, thank you, as always, for your support for our operations and our telecommunications operators in our Emergency Communications Division. Thank you.
Go ahead. All right, before you go away, Councilmember Harris would like to say something.
Sure.
I want to commend you, your team. I had a medical emergency Thursday morning, and it was handled so professionally. You had to transfer me over to, I think, county because I was needing EMS. But it was handled so professionally. I could barely talk. Your operator walked me right through whatever I needed to do. I thought I was having a heart attack. I actually had a fractured vertebrae, which is why everybody's being so solicitous of me today. I was just really wanted to compliment you. And I was the 3rd passenger on the new truck for EMS. And it's pretty amazing, the equipment they have. They had a few little glitches learning all of the equipment. They still were learning it. But I heard one of the nurses talking when I got to the ER after they had left, that how impressed he was with the truck and the equipment, and how jealous he was of the equipment that they had on the truck. So, I had an EKG immediately. I was started IV immediately. They had realized it was not a heart attack immediately, which relieved me somewhat. So thank you all for your professionalism.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? All right, can we take a picture real quick? Yeah, there we go. Thank you.
They run the communication. Two rows or one?
We're gonna have to. No, actually. Ready?
Great. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Okay, we are done with the proclamations. And so I think what we're going to do is we're going to pull up agenda items 26, 27, and 28. But I also wanted to do, before we really hit the consent, I also wanted to bring up consent agenda number 9, which probably would just normally pass. And I have no doubt this is going to pass. But I did want to talk about agenda number 9, if that's okay first, so we can get clear the room, because I don't want to make you guys wait. I feel bad. I know some people have school tomorrow. So agenda item number 9, consider approval of task order number 2 with Dunaway and Associates, LLC, to conduct the Vibe Trail and Greenway master plans in the amount not to exceed $120,000. Item presenter, David Lopez.
Now it's on?
Try again.
All right, good evening. Would you like me to run through the presentation, or were there any questions that you all had?
I do not. I looked at the backup material, but I just wanted to point you guys to the greatspringsproject.org/vision. There are some things on here that I think, as we are planning our Vibe Trail, that we take into consideration. And this is, for those that don't know, the Great Springs Project is the actual trail that the Vibe is a part of. It goes from Austin to San Antonio, and they have on their page, they have their kind of vision at the bottom. And so things that I want to point out that I think that are going to be really important as we plan this trail. I've checked off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're all important, but these I'd like you guys to take into consideration. So first and foremost, the trail network should be accessible to people of all ages and abilities. You guys are doing an excellent job. Next, the trail network should be economically viable. So I want to make sure that as we proceed, we're being financially responsible. Trails should connect to places people want to go. So as the gentleman spoke earlier, making sure that we connect neighborhoods. I think he lived in Hometown Kyle or Plum Creek, I can't remember. And it was a kind of a issue to get from one place to another. So making sure that the subdivisions are well connected. Also, this is one of the most important things to me, but the trail development process should demonstrate respect for landowners. So moving forward, I would like to see less eminent domain for the trail, and more of, maybe if we have to think out of the box to make the trails connect. Finally, the trail network should help protect the springs while enhancing community livability. So just making sure that we are aware of the environment as we move forward. I think there was some talk of concrete versus not concrete, but just as we make those decisions and having this in the master plan. And I also wanted to give anybody else an opportunity to talk about what they would like to see in the master plan. I wasn't on council. I don't know if they've talked about this previous. I was on council in 2021 when they briefly talked about it, but just wanted to give everybody a brief chance to express what they'd like to see. Councilmember Harris.
When this project, or when the trails group started, I was on the council, and really excited about this happening. And to watch this group come together has been really wonderful. They have done a great job. Thank you very much. David is a neighbor of mine, and he and his daughter came by on her little trike the other day and visited for a while. I think this is a great project. We are involved with Great Springs project. I know I've been to the meetings with some of our park staff. In fact, took one of the major people that is involved in Great Springs, met us at Cool Springs because he had not heard of Cool Springs. And we spent a couple of hours out there just walking around and talking about the etiology of those springs. So this is a great project. I'm happy to support it.
Thank you. Any other questions, concerns, feedback? Okay, Councilmember McKinney.
The more we get out of our homes and the more we get out of our cars, the happier we are. And this is a huge first step into getting us out. It's an opportunity to integrate with our neighbors, to meet and greet everybody. I mean, just the health benefits, the improvement to traffic by getting people out of cars and off the roads. I mean, there's just so many positives that come from this. I'm excited to be a part of it.
All right. Anybody else? Councilmember Zapata?
So, I mean, I absolutely love this, and I'm very excited to see it come to fruition. You know me, I always talk about equity, so my favorite word. I think one thing that I would like to see in the master plan is if we can come up with some sort of way. I know, for example, like our sidewalk improvement plan, there's kind of like a rubric that we have set out that says, listen, these are the parts that we can achieve first that are going to maintain or maximize equity, like as we build out. So even something like that would be really helpful so that we can see what are the areas that are currently really lacking in trails that we can immediately improve upon as funding becomes available and whatnot, and as we build out the entire process. So just taking that into consideration, I think I would like to see. But I think it's a fantastic project, and I'm really excited about it.
All right. With that, I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda item 9.
Second.
All right. I have a motion by myself and seconded by Councilmember Harris. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you all.
You're welcome. All right. Up next, we have agenda items 26, 27, 28. Thank you guys for coming out. Go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, let me read it, right? Yeah. Okay, sorry. All right, we have agenda items 26, 27, 28. Consider approval of an ordinance of the City of Kyle, Texas, approving the final project and finance plan for reinvestment zone number 3, City of Kyle, Texas, and approving and authorizing the city manager to execute a TERS agreement in connection with the development of the zone. I read them all? Okay. Okay. And then consider approval of an ordinance of the City of Kyle, Texas, accepting and approving a service and assessment plan and finding of special benefits to the property of improvement area number 1 of the district, levying assessments against property within improvement area number 1 of the district, and establishing a lien on such property, providing for a method of assessment and the payment of the assessment in accordance with Chapter 372, Texas Local Government Code, as amended, providing penalties and interest on delinquent assessments, providing for severability, resolving all matters incident and related thereto, and providing an effective date. 28, consider approval of an ordinance approving and authorizing the issuance and sale of the City of Kyle, Texas Special Assessment Revenue Bond Series 2026 Savannah Ranch Public Improvement District Improvement Area Number 1 project, and approving and authorizing related agreements. Item presenter, Stephanie Leiby.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council Member Stephanie Leiby with Norton Rose Fulbright. I do want to note before I jump in the presentation so I don't forget that item number 27 has a public hearing associated with it. So if it's okay with you all, I'll go through the presentation, provide all the information. We can pause, have the public hearing, and then come back for questions and action, if that's sounds okay with you guys? Okay. So I'll repeat some of this. I know we just covered it earlier this evening for the tourist board and that tourist board meeting, but for people who were not at that meeting, just a very general overview of Savannah Ranch Public Improvement District. The district was originally created in March of 2022 by City Council to assist in the financing of the public improvements that are being funded by the Public Improvement District. City Council also created Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone Number 3. Both the city and county are participating under that TIR zone. January of 2024, City Council authorized a reimbursement resolution because there were certain public improvements that were being funded by the developer at that time that had to be conveyed by the city. We were at council March of 26, where you all adopted the preliminary service and assessment plan for the assessments that we're asking council to impose tonight, and also to authorize the preliminary limited offering memorandum, which allowed the underwriters to go out into the bond market today to solicit bids for the bonds, which are subject of tonight's meeting. So again, both the PID and TIRS number 3 are being used to finance construction of public improvements within the Savannah Ranch subdivision. Or I guess it's also called Clara Vista, so Savannah Ranch or Clara Vista. Just a general map of the improvements that we're doing right now. The area in blue is improvement area number 1 of the district. The items for consideration tonight are the assessment ordinance, which actually levies the assessments on the real property within improvement area 1. Those assessments, when collected, will be used to repay the bonds. The bond ordinance authorizes the issuance of the bonds, the funds of which will be used to reimburse the developer for the public improvements. And then we have the TIRS ordinance, which adopts the final project and finance plan for the TIRS. When we were before council for the preliminary service and assessment plan, there were some questions related to the total amount of assessments that would be levied on the property, and also the annual installments associated with those assessments. And so we've added these 2 new slides. The information from this slide does come from the preliminary service and assessment plan. These amounts adjusted very slightly today based upon the bond pricing, but we're talking total assessment amounts changed in dollars, not hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars. So, and then this next slide would provide what the TIRS offset for annual installment may look like when full build out is achieved within the district. If council adopts all of the action items tonight, the next step is for the bond closing to occur April 30th of 26. That's when funds would be received and be used to reimburse the developer. Recommendations for tonight actions items are to approve the 3 ordinances as presented, and staff recommends the first option. So with that, we can pause, do the public hearing, and then I can come back, answer any questions that you all may have.
Thank you. We do have a public hearing, item number 27. Do I need to reread that? Thank you. All right, so I have opened the hearing for anybody who'd like to come up and speak. Seeing none, the hearing is closed. So can we just go back? I just want to make sure I know what the total amount being requested is.
So the total amount of the assessment levy?
Yeah, for this agenda item.
So the total amount of the assessment levy, I think, was $12,633,000. And I'm going to look for someone to correct me based on today's bond sizing. So the amounts that the costs of the public improvements that went into the development itself are just over $19 million. So of that amount, a portion is going to be reimbursed. A portion is going to be reimbursed from the bonds, and then the remainder will be unreimbursed, and we call that a developer contribution for those public improvements. And so, yeah, so the bond sizing today is $12,633,000, and so that's the amount of assessments that would be levied on the property.
Okay. Can you briefly, just for people who don't understand what this bond is for, can you just a brief synopsis of like, this is what we do, and this is the next step, and this is how it gets built, and this is what it covers?
Sure. So under 372 of the Local Government Code, cities and counties have the authority to levy special assessments on property to finance construction of public improvements that specifically benefit that property. And so it's a way for new development, especially in fast growth cities, to help pay for itself without putting a burden on existing taxpayers or residents within the city. The statutory requirements associated with the assessments require, just like the public hearing that we had, we published notice of an intent to levy those assessments. We've also mailed notice to all registered landowners within the public improvement district, notifying them of these assessments. Additionally, when people move into public improvement districts, the title company and current owner of the land are required to provide public notice or to provide notice of the assessments that have been levied on that property. And so if you go into service and assessment plan, which is an attachment to tonight's assessment ordinance, at the very back, we have forms of what those notices look like. And so every time land within a PID is transacted, the fact that there's an assessment on that land is disclosed to all home buyers.
Okay. I just want to make sure, because some people I've never heard of a PID. And so can I just try to break it down, because you're so smart. And so I'm going to try to break it down to, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. So this developer, we give them money to bond out. They add that money to the value of their homes, and then those homeowners are made aware that when you buy this house, you're going to be paying this extra amount to pay for this infrastructure or this development.
Generally, yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, so it's really that simple. All right. So does anybody have any questions? Councilmember Goza?
I believe we have in our ordinance or our charter that if it's going to pass on a first reading, that it requires a vote of 7.
So pursuant to Chapter 1201 of the Texas Government Code, action items that relate to bond sales can be passed on first and final reading. Because we price the bonds today and the bonds will be sold to bond investors, we can't hold, or the bond investors don't hold that pricing for 2 consecutive city council meetings. And so under Chapter 201 of Texas Government Code, all action items related to bonds can be passed on first and final reading. It overrules any city charter requirements.
There's also a specific exception in our charter for bond items to be passed on first and final reading.
I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, with that said, I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda items 26, 27, and 28.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by myself, seconded by Councilmember McKinney. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you all.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you. Now I'm going to go back to where we were. I think we're going to hit up executive.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
If we can.
so this meeting, we did this a little differently. Usually we have executive, but we had TERS, and so we're going to hit up executive. The city council will now go into executive session to discuss agenda item 2A pursuant to Texas Government Code, section 551.071. Good night. The time is 9:32 and we are back from executive. No action was taken now and then, and no action will be taken now. Okay, I'm going to have to do this by myself. I'm going to wing this. All right, so we are on consent. Is there anything that anybody would like to pull off of consent? Okay. All right, so we're going to pull 10, and I'm going to pull 16.
Number 14.
Okay, so we're pulling 10, 14, and 16. All right. So I need someone to check me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to make a motion to approve agenda items number 11, 12, 13, 15, 17, 18, and 20 to 22. All right.
I'll second that.
Thank you very much. I have a motion by myself, a second by Councilmember McKinney. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It passes 6-0. All right, up first, we have.
Do we want to move any items up?
Oh, also, yeah. After consent, does anybody have any problems moving up agenda items 35 and 36?
Can we take care of the PCN first, Mayor? Is that okay? Item 24.
Yes. All right, number 24. So we will pull up 24, 35, 36. Okay, let me do that. 24, 35, and 36. All right, so up we have agenda item 10, and that was pulled by Councilmember Medina? Goza. Councilmember Goza. Agenda item 10. I guess I'll read it. Consider approval of a resolution authorizing amendment number 4 to the City of Kyle's agreement with GBRA, which clarifies cost allocation for current and future raw water system improvements by distinguishing cash versus debt participation, affects calculation of the city's pro rata share and take or pay obligations, and has no direct financial impact. We have item presenter Mike Murphy, Director of Water Utilities.
Do you go through the presentation, or do you have a specific question? Okay.
Okay. I know some of his questions had to do with the fact of there is a study that's coming out regarding waste, like water wastage, saying that we have an 18% loss in our water, and then GBRA also has those issues. He was concerned, like whether there's been bonds that have already been involved with this. What can you tell me about that? Because it looks like you're saying there's no financial impact.
Okay. So on this particular amendment, all it's doing is giving the city the option when purchasing water from GBRA, whether we do it through a debt allocation or whether we do it through cash. So this gives us an additional opportunity, and this is new. Typically, you go into debt and make your payments to GBRA on a pro rata basis, which means our share of the water that GBRA delivers on a daily, monthly, and yearly basis. But we can also now pay for it with cash. And what that means is there's no impact. Is like if we are paying with debt and a particular agency or more people want to pay cash, then it reduces the pool of debt payment, and so it could increase our costs over the course of 15, 20, 30 years. It would increase our costs somewhat, but it typically would have no impact. Now, we could also be on the other side of that. If we decide to pay cash for it and the majority of the people are paying through debt, then we would get that benefit. It's sort of like buying a car. If you pay, like say you pay $20,000 for your car in cash, that's $20,000 you're out. But if you go in debt for 5, 6, 7 years, that $20,000 car is now worth, or you pay $28,000 for that same car. That's basically.
Just for clarity, Councilmember Goza, the reason we're saying the amendment has no direct financial impact is because the amendment is giving us an option to decide how we pay in the future. So the amendment itself doesn't have an impact. The decisions we make about how we pay in the future may. But those would be future decisions.
Okay, thank you.
All right, would you like to make a motion?
Just one quick question.
Go ahead.
Is there a cost associated to implement this amendment then, since there may be costs?
No, this
in the
is a
future?
signature, a paper, I guess, participation only. And they're going to do it with or without us. This is just us in an agreement with GBRA that we have the option to either pay cash or go into debt to pay.
Okay.
Is there any discount if we pay with cash?
What was that?
Is there a discount if we pay with cash? I know if I pay my car with cash, I get some kind of discount. So is there a benefit?
I don't think they negotiate things like that with GBRA. It's a pretty hard cost. And then it's a take or pay contract at the end of the day. Like most all of our contracts on securing water.
Okay, I guess I didn't really realize there was a, you'd have to make an agreement just to pay cash, because I think that's a better deal for them, but news to me, so thank you. I
Mayor,
appreciate
there's
that.
not a discount if you pay in cash, but if you use debt to pay over time, then we have to cover like up to 10%, and we will have to cover O&M costs as well. So it's just more upfront, but we get to pay over time. So that's the difference there.
Okay. All right. Would you like to make a motion? Oh, geez. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda item 10.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by myself, a second by Councilmember McKinney. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, agenda item
Thank you,
passed.
Council.
Thank you. 6-0. All right, up next, we have agenda item 14, and that was consider approval of a license agreement with VC2 Kyle Limited Partnerships, allowing for 2 pickleball courts and related improvements to be located in a portion of an easement area with the condition that the city of Kyle be granted access rights across a portion of the property. Item presenter, Mike Murphy.
So I did look over the presentation. I guess my particular questions are, typically easements are used for infrastructure, not so much for amenities. So is there not somewhere else on the property that these pickleball courts could be placed?
Yeah, so to answer your question, not on this particular facility, for this particular use. We've looked, we've actually recommended, and this is basically where the pickleball court has to be for this facility. And so we've given them the ability, or we're recommending approval of them building over the top of our easement. But if we have to go in and they give us right of entry, if we have to go in and maintain our wastewater line that is now under their pickleball court, but they have to pay for that. They pay for any damages, and they pay for us to have that right of entry just in case we have to go in. And what we'll do is we'll repair the line if we ever have to do that, which is fairly unlikely. But if we do, then we'll bring it up to ground level, and it's up to them to pay for their new pickleball court surface.
So what happens in the event there's some sort of leak underground with the wastewater line, the ground shifts, starts sinking, Joe's out there playing pickleball, falls, breaks his ankle, who's liable? Us because it's our easement, or them because it's their
No, I
pickleball
think
court?
maybe the city attorney can answer that for me.
The city has extremely limited liability in that situation. I would argue that there would not be any city liability because of just general state law limitation on city liability. I would also say the pickleball court is owned and maintained by the property owner, and therefore they are liable for ensuring that it is maintained properly and usable before they let anybody use it.
So they would be responsible for maintaining our easement?
They're responsible for maintaining the pickleball court. They don't maintain anything under the surface. Our line is under the surface, so they maintain the court.
But if the line caused the ground to shift and then someone got injured because of it, it's our easement. It happened because it was underground.
Again, we are a government. We have very limited liability under state law.
Okay.
Okay, I have a question. Because there's going to be a cost difference between tearing up grass and tearing up a court. Who bears that burden?
They do.
They do. So they're going to pay us to tear up the court if something goes wrong,
Yes.
and then they're going to fix it.
That's the way it's worded in the contract, that they have assumed the responsibility for any maintenance of that facility.
All right. So I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda item number 14.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by myself, seconded by Councilmember Medina. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Next, we have agenda item 16, consider approval of a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a letter of objection in support of foreign trade zone of Central Texas, Inc. sponsorship of ENF Technologies LLC application to designate its facility located at 1550 Kohler's Crossing within the city of Kyle as a foreign trade zone site, and authorizing the negotiation of a payment in lieu of taxes, that's pilot agreement. Item presenter, Rosie Truelove.
Good evening. This is functionally the same presentation that we had at the TERS meeting earlier this evening, so I'm happy to go through it again if helpful, or just respond to questions that you may have, Mayor.
No, I'm just going to, I know at the TERS, I requested this agreement to come back to us, and they didn't want it at the TERS, but I do want it at the council level. So in order for me to support this, I would need to have the agreement come back to us.
So if I could request that we go ahead and approve the authorization of the city manager to execute the letter of no objection, and then we are happy to bring the pilot agreement back to council if that's what the full council wishes, but we would like to proceed with the no objection letter so that ENF's application can continue to move forward.
So explain to me what that looks like. So if I say I'm going to approve agenda item 16 with the amendment that the application is to come back to council.
That the pilot agreement would need to come back to council.
Is there any other agreement?
No.
That's the only one, okay.
It's just a resolution of no objection, or a letter of no objection that is, there's a draft of it within the backup of the item, and that could be executed or signed by the city manager. And then as we get closer to negotiation and final terms on the pilot agreement, we could bring that particular element of this back to council.
I mean, for this to pass, it's all intertwined together.
You can divide the question. I mean, I would ask the city attorney to recommend how that language would work, but I think you could divide the two issues because it's combined into one item right now.
All right, well, if somebody would like to do that, they can. I am not going to vote for that.
Maybe I misunderstood your concern earlier. Is your objection to the foreign trade zone as a concept?
No, I like the concept. That's fine. But there's an agreement that they're going to have to sign. I wanted that agreement to come back to council for review.
You just want to make sure that it's not going to cost us as a city and us as
Yep, I want to see what
residents.
they negotiate and what they agree on at the end of the day.
I got you. Unless I'm misunderstanding, the letter of no objection is just allowing them to form the foreign trade zone specifically to ENF. But I feel like we can separate the two.
Well, for me, they
and
go-
then have that pilot agreement come back so that we can compare and make sure that those numbers match. Does that fit with what you're trying to accomplish?
Well, no, I feel like for me, they go hand in hand, and that's why they were placed on here together. And so I'd like to make it, I don't understand what the problem would be, just to make one motion and one approval, as opposed to put it
I
into
think we have a
two.
problem with making one motion and one approval, Mayor. I think the question is, do we want to allow the city manager to move forward with the letter of no objection, and then we bring back the agreement in the future? In which case, that's one motion saying we authorize the letter of no objection and allow the city manager to negotiate a pilot agreement, which will be brought back to council for final approval.
Fair enough, okay, yeah, I get it. So, okay, get this right, I'd like to make a motion for to allow the city manager to execute a letter of no objection in support of foreign trade zone of Central Texas. And then, let's just do that.
Okay.
First. That's a
Second.
motion, okay. I got a motion by myself, a second by Councilmember McKinney. Are there any questions? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Then do you want to do, will it come back or should I go ahead and do it now?
I think what you want to do is make a motion to authorize the city manager to negotiate a pilot agreement with ENF, which will be brought back to the full council for approval.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to allow the city manager to negotiate a pilot agreement, which will be brought back to the city council for review and approval.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by myself, a second by Councilmember Medina. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Those were all that were left, I believe, on the consent. And so I think we want to do the,
Item 24, the city staff has pulled item 23. We'd like to consider item 24 before we move on to
there we
other
go.
items.
We're going to do agenda item 24. Thank you for the guidance. Consider approval of resolution finding public convenience and necessity and authorizing the use of eminent domain to condemn if necessary. Fee simple title to a parcel of land containing 2,216 square feet as described in Exhibit A to the resolution, bless you, from certain real property owned by Olga Lydia Gayton for the public use and purpose of construction of property roadway and drainage improvements for the BB Road Project, East Project. Roll call vote is going to be requested. We have Amber Schmeitz.
Oh, I think that's the wrong one. Yeah, there we go. It's number 24 in case y'all are looking for it. There it is. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Amber Smites. I'm the Deputy City Manager for the city. In November of 2022, City of Kyle voters approved Proposition A. It's a road bond for 8 transportation projects across Kyle for a total of 10.3 miles of new location, reconstruction, and widening projects to improve the city's transportation network. The BB Road project will improve BB Road from the I-35 frontage road to east of South Goforth. This project is divided into 2 segments, the eastern segment and the western segment. The eastern segment of the BB Road project will widen and reconstruct a section of BB Road from Sunlight Boulevard to east of South Goforth, and the western side is under construction as we speak. Okay, here's BB Road East. The project will transform an existing 2-lane road to a 4-lane road with a center turn lane, including intersection improvements at BB and Dacey, and then BB and South Goforth. And this project will improve road safety, increase capacity, and provide reliable and efficient connectivity. Here's some background on this particular project. In January of 24, alignment and design features were approved by the council. In March of 24, a task order to American Structure Point to complete the final design was approved. And in summer of 2027, we anticipate project bidding. In fall of 2029, we anticipate completion. Information about the site, this is parcel 14. In order to acquire right-of-way needed for the roadway, a survey was performed and an appraisal was performed on the needed tract. Property interests include fee simple acquisition of 2,216 square feet of right-of-way. Improvements within the right-of-way include roadway and drainage construction. Summary. So the public convenience and necessity refers to the council determining whether the city's acquisition of an interest in a specific piece of real property, such as an easement or fee simple title, is necessary to effectuate a particular public use for the public's convenience and necessity. In this situation, the PCN finds that the eastern segment of the BB Road project is necessary and required to promote the public health, safety, and welfare of the community, and that acquisition of the identified property is required to complete the project. When the property owner and the city are unable to reach a negotiated agreement, the PCN authorizes the city to initiate eminent domain proceedings if necessary to acquire the needed property.
So your options are to consider approval of the resolution finding public convenience and necessity and authorizing the use of eminent domain, or to deny the resolution. And staff recommends option 1, approval.
Okay, any questions?
We have that ESD station out at the end of this road, and I don't know if you've driven that road anytime recently. I don't know how they can respond to an emergency. I mean, it's.
Is that 9? ESD 9, the new one? Okay, so here's my concern. I usually receive information regarding, someone I can talk to, or in the last negotiations and the correspondence, and I did not get a response to that email. And so I'm going to ask, are we at a crossroads? Is eminent domain required right now at this moment?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Kent Sick, outside counsel for real estate acquisition. My understanding is that all the parcels for this project need to be acquired by the summer of next year for BB East.
Okay. Well,
But it's really just a question of, there's a whole bunch of them to do, and this one's just at that stage.
So has there been negotiation?
Yes. And of course, we can't talk about the particulars of the
Right.
negotiations in open session, but there is a significant disagreement between the parties as to compensation, and it's based on we have an extreme disagreement about the legal compensability of a factor. And in order for the city to continue treating all the landowners in the same way, the city can't agree to what they're asking for.
Okay.
And I know it's been quite a while since we showed you these two properties in the back, and we usually include all of that information back there, but happy to provide that to you.
Well, yeah, I mean, I have to take a vote, and so I have to vote off the information I have, which makes it difficult for me. So, Mark.
This item has special language, so. I move that the City of Kyle authorize the use of the power of eminent domain to acquire 0.0509 acres of land in fee simple from property owned by Olga Lydia Gaydon, as described in Agenda Item 24, for the public use of constructing public roadway and drainage improvements for the BB Road East Roadway Improvement Project.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember McKinney and a second by Councilmember Harris. This is going to be a roll call vote, please.
Flores Kale.
Nay.
Goza.
Nay.
Medina.
Nay.
Harris.
Yes.
Tobias is absent. McKinney.
Yes.
Zapata.
Yes.
Okay, item fails for lack of majority. All right, up next, we're going to pull up agenda item 35 and 36. All right, so I'm just going to remind us one more time to please be thoughtful to each other and be kind. We are all up here and we are all entitled to our opinions, and I hope that as we discuss those that we can do that in a nice way. So, agenda item 35, consider directing the city manager to research and return to council with proposed amendments to the rules of council that establish clear enforcement mechanisms for the presiding officer's mandatory duties, including consequences for failure to enforce decorum during public comment, and options for council to assume presiding authority when the mayor, chair, or mayor pro tem is unavailable or unwilling to fulfill those items. Item presenter, Claudia Zapata.
And then I'm going to be kind of talking, I guess, about both of them at the same time. We can vote on them differently, but I'm just going to be discussing them together.
All right, so we're also going to bring up agenda item 36, consider directing the city manager to research and return to council with a proposed code of conduct for members serving on boards, commissions, and advisory bodies that establishes standards for professional conduct, public communication, and engagement with residents, colleagues, staff, and council, including enforcement mechanisms with a process for removal.
All right, so I just want to take a few minutes to explain why I'm bringing these two items forward tonight. Not just what they do, but why they matter and why they matter right now. Our rules of council and our rules of engagement are commitments we made to each other and to this community. They describe who we said we would be when we took these seats, and right now there is a gap between what those rules say and what happens when they are violated. Item number 35 exists to close that gap. It only asks that staff come back with options for us to discuss on how to enforce our rules when the presiding officer of the meeting is unable or unwilling to do so. This item is for future councils who will face situations that we cannot predict. We cannot control what people bring into this room, but we can control what we do when they bring it. We can control whether our rules have teeth, and we can control whether there is a process when things go wrong. Item 36 asks us to look at establishing a code of conduct for those appointed to our boards, commissions, advisory bodies, etc. Right now, there is no standard for how any appointed representative of the city carries themselves. Other Texas cities have already built these rules. Forney, Texas has a comprehensive code of ethics that covers every official, elected or appointed, paid or unpaid. It establishes standards of conduct, a complaint process, and enforcement mechanisms, including formal reprimand. Their rules of procedure extend to every board and commission. Dozens of other cities across the state have similar frameworks. This is not a radical idea. It is standard governance practice in cities that take accountability seriously. Kyle does not have it yet, and this item seeks to create that. Now I want to talk about the why in a bit more of a personal way. 2 weeks ago, a man stood at the podium in front of us and threatened me in this room in front of all of you. What you saw on my face that night was not contempt. It was not disrespect. It was a fear response. Nervous smiling in the face of threat is human, and it is involuntary. There are many of us who have been in a frightening situation and found ourselves laughing or smiling. No one is allowed to determine what I felt in my body, and it felt like a threat to me. As for my podcast that I made in 2020, 6 years ago, I actually encourage everyone to listen if you're curious as to what was said in the exact context. I say this because how we say things, the tone, the nonverbals, the context of them, everything that was said before and after matters. I say this because those who take issue with what I stand for have used these things to discredit me. Judging someone for how their body responds to fear is what people do to victims of abuse and violence. It shifts responsibility from the person causing harm to the person experiencing it. It says your fear is not valid because you didn't perform it correctly. This language has been used to silence victims of abuse for generations. Mayor Flores Cale and Councilmember Goza have suggested that I need to grow thicker skin if I want to be in politics. Telling someone to grow thicker skin in response to this is not political wisdom. It is a language used to make victims of abuse and violence responsible for the behavior of people hurting them. It defends the indefensible by shifting the burden onto the person who was harmed. And it tells every person watching that this is acceptable as long as the person receiving it is inconvenient enough. Emboldened by the support, this man then went to social media and antagonized me, egged me on to defend myself against him, stating, "So, Ms. Zapata, let's remove all doubt and just do it. Don't flatter yourself thinking you'd be worth it. You can rest peacefully knowing that. If you are going to continue to publicly broadcast your paranoia of me on social media, let's just do it. File whatever complaints or charges make you comfortable. Just go do it. Let the judge decide if the so-called threat was credible, or are you just trying to slander my good name for more political theater?" That is what escalation looks like, and it is a direct result of leadership choosing silence and blame over accountability. I am not asking for sympathy. I do not need thicker skin. I am still here, and I intend to keep doing this work. What I'm asking for is accountability from this institution and from the people who who represent it. And I want to say something directly to the people sitting next to me tonight. I do not have children at home. And in this moment, as strange as it sounds, I am grateful for that, because I cannot imagine sitting with this fear, then going home to kids who are watching you, who ask you questions, who can feel when something is wrong in your body. I do not want this for you. I do not want your families to carry this. I would not wish this experience on anyone sitting up here, regardless of our differences. Because this is not just about one man or just some words. Where do we draw the line? Do we wait until something actually happens to one of us? Do we wait until, God forbid, something irreversible happens in this room? What message are we sending to those with less restraint, less inhibition, less to lose? There are people calculating how far they can push before someone pushes back. If we do nothing, if we excuse it, minimize it, blame the person who was threatened, we are telling all of them that this works. We're setting a precedent that intimidation is an acceptable tool in this city. We may not always agree, we may not always get along, but I have enough love and respect for every single person on this dais to care deeply about their safety. What we can do together is create rules that protect every single one of us. Rules that do not depend on whether the person at the gavel decides to act. Rules that exist regardless of who is sitting in these seats or what the political moment looks like. Rules that say, in this city, in this building, threats are not tolerated, and this council, come hell or high water, will have each other's backs.
Are you taking questions?
Open for questions.
Okay. Anybody have any questions or comments? Councilmember Goza?
I have a comment. The situation that we had the other night should be put into context, because that wasn't someone reacting about your views on ICE. This was a citizen who felt ignored, and he reached out multiple times and got no response, and he came here to speak about it. He started calm, and then, he just kind of escalated, and whether your reaction was of fear or not, you have to consider how they view that. And to say, well, I'm a victim because I didn't do it right, we can't create rules that infringe on First Amendment rights because somebody perceives something. What he said is, I'm coming after you and I'll be back. In that context, he clearly meant politically in holding someone accountable and continuing to speak. Under the law, a true threat is not just angry words. The Supreme Court made it very clear that it must be a serious expression of intent to commit unlawful violence. That standard is nowhere close to being met here. That was protected political speech. So if we start labeling this speech like this is a threat, then we're setting a standard where any frustrated or emotional citizen can be silenced. That's not about safety, it's about comfort or discomfort. And we don't get to regulate discomfort. We can regulate disruption under First Amendment laws. We cannot regulate tone, emotion, or criticism directed at us. That's exactly what our First Amendment protects. And I also want to be very cautious about where this goes next, because if this body even considers taking action against someone serving on a board or a commission based on speech like this, that raises serious concerns about retaliation for protected speech. Serving our city doesn't mean we give up our First Amendment rights. So we need to be really careful here. Moving forward on this, and we're not just overreaching, we're stepping into unconstitutional territory. As well, your post against him stepped into retaliatory territory where you're seeking to chill his First Amendment rights as well. So there are a lot of things to unpack and consider with this.
Would you like to
I just have a
respond?
follow-up question. I'm curious as to where in the agenda items I'm talking about curtailing First Amendment rights, because the agenda items don't specifically list, they ask for the city manager to come back with options for us to discuss. So to be clear, there is nothing in the agenda items themselves that seeks to inhibit anyone's right to their First Amendment to free speech.
What do you think rules of decorum do? They limit free speech, and there's only a certain way that those rules of decorum can apply, and they must be so very narrowly tailored that they do not chill free speech.
And they exist, as provided in the examples that I have stated. Forney, Texas has the most thorough one that I have seen, and they've had that in place for years. Allen, Texas, Frisco, Texas, DeSoto, Texas, Austin, Texas. We have even decorum rules within our own rules of council. We're allowed to establish those. They've existed long before the city of Kyle. They will continue to exist long after, regardless of whether we choose to do this or not. So any arguments made about this infringing upon First Amendment rights is premature, because we haven't even begun to touch that discussion.
You want to put additional restrictions on our residents in order to chill their free speech, in order to make you comfortable.
Actually, that is disgusting language to use, because that is the very language that I just talked about, that individuals who blame victims of abuse and violence and saying that you did not perform your hurt or frustration or fear correctly. And so therefore, you deserve whatever it was that came towards you.
I did
And
not
you and
say
I
that.
and you and I both very well know, and there's a lot of people who do know as well as to what this individual has consistently put me through. It is not as simple as there was a resident that reached out. It was not that simple, and you know that as well.
He reaches out to all of us.
You know that it's not that simple.
Well, for the record, I never said that whatever you were talking about, that I accused you of being a victim and did victim blaming, whatever. That's not right. So.
But that is the language that you are using. I'm trying to
No.
point out to you the cognitive dissonance that is happening. And like I said, regardless of this interaction, nothing on the agenda items talks about infringing anyone's free speech. It's about establishing rules for us to abide by and mechanisms to make sure that we're following those rules. We have yet to even have those options presented to us. So I would accept your arguments if this were the discussion point after we come back with these items, and if they presented items that could possibly inhibit someone's free speech, then yes, I would be like, okay, those are very valid concerns, but we've yet to even get to that point.
So what do you think they're going to come back with?
That's what we're sending them to go look for.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Councilmember Medina.
So it's important that we do recognize there are different roles at play in the moment. The presiding authority is responsible for maintaining decorum and can act when behavior is disruptive to the meeting as a whole. But law enforcement, on the other hand, is also here making a determination about whether something rises to the level of a true safety or legal issue. I definitely don't want to minimize how the situation may have felt. If something comes across as threatening, then that is serious and should be taken into account. But at the same time, there has to be an objective standard for when enforcement actions are taken, especially when it involves removing someone or escalating to law enforcement. If the officer on site did not determine that the behavior met that threshold, then that's part of the systems of checks in place and maybe should be addressed as well. Even in the situation, the presiding authority still has tools available, such as calling for order, issuing a warning, or ending the speaker's time, if the behavior is truly disruptive to the meeting. But those actions are based on maintaining order in the meeting, not necessarily on determining whether someone's legally threatening during citizen open comments. We do need to be careful about setting a precedent where a subjective feeling alone automatically triggers removal or enforcement, because that can create inconsistency and potential concerns about fairness. And I also think that it's an important distinction between something feeling uncomfortable or even intimidating, or something that meets the threshold for enforcement action. Because we do, again, have law enforcement here who should be sitting back and making that determination amongst themselves about our overall safety while we are sitting up here and whether intervention is warranted. So our focus really should be on making sure that we're using tools that we have consistently, rather than necessarily creating new rules based on particular situations where different individuals feel differently about different situations that happen. And anyway, and then regarding the boards and commissions, I do agree that all of our members should conduct themselves in a professional and respectful manner, because they do represent the city, and that responsibility matters, just like we're representing the city. And how we hold ourselves up here is, it matters. At the same time, we want to be cautious that we're not creating policies in response to specific incidents or individual situations. Our policies should be broadly applicable, well thought out, and not perceived as being directed for any one particular person. If we don't have any bylaws or expectations set for our boards and commissions, then yes, we do need to have some in place. But we need to identify what specifically is missing. We need to distinguish between someone's role as a resident speaking during citizen comment, and their role as a board member, because though they're one person, that's two identities. I mean, if I wanted to get down from the dais and go speak as a resident, charter doesn't say I can't, so I'm going to get down and speak as a resident. That's me being a resident, and this is me being on the dais as a city council person. So that's two different contexts. So we just need to make sure that we're still allowing our residents to be residents, even though they are serving on our boards and commissions. I'm definitely open to discussing any intent on making some rules and decorum for our boards and commissions, but that is going to take some meaningful and thoughtful approaches.
And I agree. I think that's why I wanted to bring item number 36 in specific, was so that way we could direct and then come back and have a full conversation about it. That's the intention with both of these items.
All right, any questions or comments?
I wasn't present at the last meeting. I did have an opportunity to try and catch up, watching it after the fact. I don't get to determine how Councilmember Zapata feels. She's entitled to express, her concerns for her safety. I will say that, we should be incredibly judicious about using the gavel. Freedom of speech is one of our most fundamental rights. I have seen in my time, both as just a resident and my time as a council member, where the gavel has been used well and poorly. And so I don't envy the responsibility that comes with. But I will reiterate too, though, there is a responsibility that comes with. And I see nothing wrong with coming up with a little bit of a formula so that we're at least more prepared when things happen, so that there's a game plan in place. Because let's face it, we don't prepare, we're not planning for unusual or unreasonable outbursts. We're not planning to feel threatened at any point. And everybody up here deserves to feel safe. I see nothing wrong with having staff bring back some options and having us discuss and work through. I feel like we can absolutely agree on some guidelines and ground rules for how everybody should be held to the responsibility that we all have just as residents.
Councilmember Harris?
I think both of these items are reasonable. To ask the city manager to bring us, to study what other cities are doing and bring us back recommendations for policies related to them. I don't see anything unreasonable about either one of those.
All right. So I am going to start with the agenda item 35. Agenda item 35 is regarding the rules of council. I don't believe at all whatsoever should our staff have a say in the rules of council unless it's regarding Robert's rules. These rules are set up by us, how we want to act, how we want to respond, and how we want to hold accountable. And I am not going to be in support of giving that task to any staff member. That makes things awkward. We had these rules come back to us in January. In January, nobody made any changes. Not a one of us. This was a perfect opportunity. I have the rules coming back to us. I was going to do it this meeting, but I felt like it was a little bit of emotional time and we should just have a cool down period. They are going to come back to us, and in that time, I think we have every opportunity to make the changes that we want to see. I also understand the confusion why the First Amendment has been brought up, and I think that's because the situation that brought this agenda item looked like a First Amendment issue, whether it was right or wrong or whatever we feel legally that it fell into. I feel like that's kind of what spawned this item. And I am really, really, really nervous to set limits on people, because I'm going to read to you guys a comment that was left on Councilmember Zapata's TikTok that was sent to me. when she posted that video, and this is not victim blaming, this is how we respond to what has happened. Somebody, I think it's Kaylee Skiri 10, responded, and this is why we should strap up. Excuse my language. I don't like to cuss, but the next word is fuck him and his threats. Stay ready. Let me repeat that. And this is why we should strap up. I don't know if anybody understands what that means. But this person is saying we should all carry guns because we don't know. So now we're fighting violence with violence. These are the responses that we're getting when we post information, we post it. I think it should have been talked about. I think it should have been a conversation. I think that's okay. But I also think we should be making things better. I completely understand. I'll tell you a story of when I had to vote on somebody who is on a board and commission and was on a board and commission, and they told me to my face that I only won my election because of my last name, because Mexicans don't know how to vote. They said that in front of the mayor, the city manager, and a council member. And then I had to vote on whether or not I put them on a commission the next year. That was not comfortable for me. These are the hard things that we have to put up with as elected officials, and I'm not saying it's fair, but I'm saying we are still entitled to say, or boards and commissions they're entitled to say what they feel and how they think. It's crappy. It's part of the job. I don't want to stifle anybody's First Amendment. I know at least 2 people were here when I got shut down at the podium for saying something that was perfectly legal. I was within my First Amendment rights. But I have to overlook that as well and realize that not every situation is my situation. And so I'm more than willing to work on the boards and commission. I am not willing to put our task of the rules of council onto any staff member. But I think it's a great conversation. I think we should bring it back, and I think we should have real consequences for our actions. But we have to understand that those consequences are going to attach to us as well. We hear these things all the time about how this person treats us bad and that person, and they're antagonizing and they're weaponizing. And the most important people that we can focus on to make sure that we don't do that is ourselves. I mean, we've said some not so nice things to each other, right? Mark.
And may again.
And we will. And that's okay, because that doesn't mean I hate Mark. It means we have a difference of opinions. I don't want it to be that we can't go out and say the things that we want to say, because there's nobody on here that I just despise so much that I really want any kind of harm to come to them. So I think learning to work collectively as who we are as individuals is going to be important to forming a really strong council. And I've tried to reach out a couple times, and I don't know how to come and say, hey, Zapata, how do we just sit and have coffee, or how do we do this? You don't respond, and so I don't know how to have that conversation with you. And if we can't have that conversation away from this, I'm not sure how we're ever going to get to know each other.
I guess I'm just confused on what that has to do with the agenda items
Well,
about
okay.
what we're discussing.
Yeah,
and
I mean, it definitely got-
and I also would like to say that if we're talking about and we want to say things that we've received or the statements that we have had made toward us, well, shortly after you posted your statement on your Facebook page, I received a message, and I'm going to read it word for word, and there's some language in here that is pretty upsetting to let people know that who are paying attention, watching at home, listening here. It says, "You have your head planted so far up your own ass, I'm sure you can see out of your mouth. The fact that anyone with your level of intellect could ever be elected to public office should be investigated. There's no way you won legitimately. You have the intelligence and discernment of a fucking walnut, you utterly R-word fucking bitch. Bet you think that's a threat to a fucking idiot." I've had people comment on my posts, tell me to go find a chair and a rope, and that I know what to do. So you want to talk to me about violence begetting violence, the fact that you recognized it as violence, the fact that you recognized what happened to me as violence, means that there is a problem starting right there. And what I'm asking for is for an opportunity to be able to address that head on. I don't understand why this council is fighting so hard back against rules that exist in dozens of other cities across this state, who do it, who perform it, who practice it. I don't understand what it is that we're taking issue with. I'm simply asking for us to have a discussion about those rules, to have that research done and be brought to us so we can discuss it. Because I do not want it to escalate. I honestly don't want it to escalate to happen to any one of us sitting up here. And so I am deeply concerned with how this is going. Because it should be that it is as simple as if you came to me and you told me, I felt like that was a threat. Because as I was sitting here and as I was being targeted, I was looking over at our officer. I was sitting here not knowing what to do. I was frozen. I was looking at our officer for help because I didn't know what else to do. And so the entire idea as well that it's supposed to fall in the judgment of one person, of one officer sitting in this room, that's ridiculous. It can't just fall on the discernment of one person because it's not always perfect.
Yeah, I don't think it does. I think we all have the ability to call a point of order, and we all have the ability to say something. I don't think anybody here is fighting against you. Nobody said no to agenda item 36. We've all encouraged it, and I'm saying let's talk about this with the rules of council and not leave this to staff. I'm not sure why you saying we're fighting against you. Nobody is. Nobody has said no.
Then I guess let's take a vote then.
Word it right. Yep, go ahead.
All right, I'd like, and we'll do it separately, a motion to consider item number 35, consider directing the city manager to research and return to council with proposed amendments to the rules of council that establish clear enforcement mechanisms for the presiding officer's mandatory duties, including consequences for failure to enforce decorum during public comment, and options for council to assume presiding authority when the mayor, chair, or mayor pro tem is unable or unwilling to fulfill those duties.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Zapata.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Harris. We're going to do a roll call vote, so I know.
Zapata,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Goza,
No.
oh, sorry. Tobias is absent. McKinney,
Yes.
Medina,
No.
Flores Kale.
No. Motion fails for lack of a majority. Do you want to do a motion for agenda item 36?
Motion for agenda item 36, consider directing the city manager to research and return to council with a proposed code of conduct for members serving on city boards, commissions, and advisory bodies that establishes standards for professional conduct, public communication, and engagement with residents, colleagues, staff, and council, including enforcement mechanisms and a process for removal.
I have a motion by Councilmember Zapata, second by Councilmember Harris. I have a good feeling that we don't need a roll call vote for this one, just to be sure. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. All right. Up next, we're going to go back to, I believe, do we go back to agenda 25? Yes. All right, agenda item number 25. Consider approval of a resolution accepting TCEQ's Superior Public Water System recognition and approving the associated agreement, which authorizes the display of Superior Public Water System signs on highway entering the area served by the City of Kyle Public Water System. Item presenter, Mike Murphy.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, Mike Murphy, Director of Water Utilities. It is my pleasure to announce that we have been recognized as a superior water system in the state of Texas. This is our happy group of employees here out in front of our Water Utilities Public Works Department site. And these are some hardworking men and women, as I'm sure you all know and can attest to. So the summary, and I guess the headline for this is that the City of Kyle receives Public Water System designation from the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, and the mayor is hereby authorized to execute the associated agreement, very proudly. Only about 10% of Texas 7,000-plus water systems earn a superior designation from the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, recognizing systems that exceed state and federal drinking water standards. On March the 9th, 2026, the City of Kyle achieved the designation following a 2-year effort to strengthen the infrastructure, operations, and water quality. This recognition reflects the dedication of the Kyle Water Utilities team and confirms that the city consistently exceeds regulatory requirements. And I'd like to just give a shout out to Michael Van Winkle and Carl Casares, which many of you know. You may not know them by their name, but if you did see them, you would recognize them and the effort that they put into getting this recognition for our city. And so this is just a few of the, items that we had to achieve to get this designation. And at this late hour, I won't read all of them, but you can go through these and see that these have very realistic consequences. And we're very proud that we can represent the Kyle in receiving this designation. The designation highlights the City of Kyle's commitment to safe, high-quality drinking water, high-quality H2O. I'm going to just go ahead and say it. The Kyle Water Utilities will continue investing in more robust and resilient system and support, and to support the city's community and future needs. So the options are to approve the resolution and associated agreement, which I very much hope that you all do, or do not approve the resolution. And staff, obviously, we as staff recommends approving this.
All right, thank you. Does anybody have any questions? I'm kind of interested to know what the process is to get this done.
Yeah, so it's very rigorous, and it takes a while. It takes 2 years to go through this process. And so that's why I want to call out these two individuals who took it upon themselves, obviously with the support
Are they here?
of leadership. So
Are they here?
no, they're not here. I would not do that to them.
It's past all I've been taxed. All right, well, without hesitation, I would like to make a motion to approve agenda item number 25.
Second.
Oh, I got a motion by myself, a second from Councilmember Zapata. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes
And
6-0.
thank you, Mayor. And just by the way, this allows us, once we get all this documentation signed, it allows us to start putting signs up around the city designating that City of Kyle as a superior water system. So,
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm grateful for your team to get this opportunity to get recognized. We appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Don't forget to invite us to the party.
All right, it looks like we have agenda item 29 next, unless I'm mistaken. First reading, consider approval of an ordinance amending Chapter 38, Article 7, naming of public places of the city's Code of Ordinances to amend Sections 38-331 through 38-334 and add new Sections 38-335 through 38-340, which establish the policies and processes for the naming of city facilities. Item presenter, David Lopez.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, so we're here to discuss the amending of Chapter 30, Article 7 for the naming of public places. As mentioned in a previous council meeting, we discussed the need to have a clear, user-friendly policy that also protects the integrity of our assets when it comes to naming. We also discussed some opportunities for benefactor naming. A little bit of background on the existing policy. It was adopted back in 2013. It's very limited in scope. It lacks a lot of procedure. And with the city's growth and park system and roads, it's really important to standardize our processes and procedures regarding this. You all had some prior input regarding the naming policy, and it was in relation to reducing the number of required signatures. I believe it was 300 signatures down to 150 for the neighborhood assets. And it was 500 down to 250 for community or regional assets, and then from 1,000 to 500 for civic center assets. So the option for you this evening would be to approve amending Chapter 30, Article 7 for naming of public places, to approve with modifications, or to deny the amendment. Staff recommends approving as presented. And I'll take any questions at this time.
Questions? Nope. Okay. I'd like to I always feel like I got to do it. Does anybody else want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve agenda item number 29.
All right, all right, I have a motion by Councilmember Kinney and second by Councilmember Harris. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Thank you. We appreciate all your work. Next, agenda item 30, consider approval of a resolution authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute a construction contract with Guerrero Underground, LLC, awarded through a request for proposals for the Kyle Parkway Part 1 Waterline Project in the amount not to exceed $3,899,053.53, which includes a base bid of $3,544,594.16 at a 10% contingency of $354,459.42. Item presenter is not Mike Murphy. It's Tim Sanford.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tim Sanford, Assistant Director for Utilities. Good afternoon. So what we have before you, if we can just have control of that, is this is a new water line. I will say this before I go into the slides. We do have a lot of words on these slides, so I won't bore you with all of them. This is a new water line project. This was identified in some water master plan that was recommended in the water master plan and recognized by council in 25. And so with this project, it was a need that was necessitated out of that modeling in the water master plan. And with the road bond coming in, we were planning to utilize the right-of-way that was gained with the road bond project in order to run this water line. So we're wanting to come in before the road bond project in a way so that we don't come back and disturb that road once it's built, knowing that this is going to be a need going forward in order to convey water across the pressure plane that this is going to lie within. So just to give a little reference as to where we're at, you see Daisy Drive there. That's the extension coming off of Kyle Parkway down to what will be a roundabout for Layman extension. And then we're going to go south along to Button Road down there. And then we have a water facility that this is going to feed into. So this is made up of around 2,100 linear feet of 24-inch water line, around 1,900 feet of linear feet of 30-inch water line. This is planned to go in construction this summer. It's a 210 calendar day construction period, so we should be finishing up around November of this year. Again, this water line is going to be part of the future roadway that's coming through here. That's going to be bid out at a later date. And there's also an extension of this water line that will continue on along Layman and feed into Daisy. And that portion of that water line is going to be bid out with the actual road bond project. So just to emphasize, this water line is going in today. The future roadway is going to be bid under a different construction plan set. Next slide. So this water line extension identified in the 2025 Water Master Plan. It is a 30-inch water line, 24-inch water line, and the need for this is the conveyance of capacity from the Layman Booster Pump Station to the Daisy Elevated Storage Tank. So just a little bit of a background on this project. Council did approve Cobb Finley to do the design back in September of 2024. Bids were advertised February 17th, 2026, and the proposals were received in March of this year. This project did receive 14 bids. It came in at around $3.5 million, which is under bid, under the OPC, or under the estimated value of what we expected it to be of $4 million. And we are recommending that Guerrero Underground, who is the lowest bidder of this project, be awarded the project. And the question we had for ourselves, not having worked with this group personally, we do have some representatives within Water Utilities that have worked with Guerrero, and they have very positive things to say about them, so we feel good about awarding this project to them. So the options before you are to award this project to Guerrero with a contingency amount of 10%. That puts it not to exceed $3.8 million, or you can deny the resolution. Staff does recommend that we approve this resolution.
Okay, are there any questions? Comments? I do have a question. Is this going to feed into Rastigar, that development over off Button?
I'm not familiar with that name.
I was going to bring like,
No, it's quite a bit away from
Quite a bit away.
Rest-A-Car, yes.
okay,
Yes,
do we have?
correct.
Okay, all right, that's all I wanted to know. Okay,
So this project is to feed, it's, back, if we look at some, and I don't have that available to you, but this is a part of a larger connection within Pressure Point Number 1. This is, we're gonna have conveyance all the way from Dacey. We're gonna have a very large water line that goes down Bunton, and it's gonna go south all the way to what Cheva Pastrano. It's gonna have a 24-inch line going all the way south. So that was what was shown in the Water Master Plan. This is just a little bit of a snapshot that helps gain some understanding of how this project plays into the bigger picture of our portfolio for Pressure Plant Number 1.
now I did see there was a huge difference, almost double, between the highest bid and what we accepted. And I'm not trying to pay a lot, but I just want to make sure that we're going to avoid change orders and we get a real true cost from the get-go. So how did you guys decide that this was the right, like, this is going to be the scope and it's going to be the right one? Because the last thing I want to see is, additional cost, down the road.
I'm not sure if I answer that. I didn't evaluate the bids myself, but I was part of the planning of this process. My water utilities design team. I see Luke creeping
Yeah,
up
there she
behind me.
comes. Surprise.
Thanks for that word. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Because this project is part of the road bond team project, so the road bond GEC evaluated all the bids to make sure they're responsive and responsible, and they compared to the engineering cost estimate to make sure all the quantities are correct, all the unit price are correct, and the total is correct. So we're confident that this is a correct number. And to avoid change orders, that's why for all the construction project, we add on 10% of contingency to avoid, because once you open the ground, there are things that under there you're not expecting. So that's that 10% contingency is to try to help us get covered.
Were you on the board that approved this and reviewed all of it?
Sorry.
Were you on the people on the board that went and reviewed it?
Personally, I wasn't because the road bond projects are managed by the general engineering consultant. They are functioning as a project management team. Their whole team reviewed it, and also this is a IFB, it's invitation for bid, so we're selecting the lowest responsive and responsible bidder instead of a CSP that will have a staff panel.
Okay, is it possible that when they do these bids, I do appreciate the contractors being a part of it. I would love for staff to be a part of it as well to ensure.
Well, I think what Lou is saying is it's a bid, right? So it's a lowest responsible bid. So that's what we're recommending to you. So there's really not an evaluation of the firms. It's an actual bid. What we did is verified the quantities and looked to make sure that everything that was in the engineer's estimate was consistent with what was being bid, and that the firm has a reputation of performing, which they do. And so that's why it's being recommended. I think the other process is sometimes the competitive seal proposal, where there's different criteria that we look at in terms of qualifications, experience, references, all those things, as well as price. And all of those are looked at by a panel, but this is a different procurement process. It's an invitation for bid. And so that's why it's done a little differently.
Okay.
Hopefully that helps.
All right. With that said, I'd like to make I'd like to approve agenda item number 30.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by myself and a second by Councilmember Kenny. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes 6-0. Thank you so much. Up next, we have agenda item 31. Consider approval of a resolution adopting the Utility Customer Assistance Program as a 6-month pilot and approving the UCAP framework and implementation plan. Item presenter Josh Cronley.
Good evening, members of council. My name is Joshua Cronley, Assistant Director for Finance. All right, to give you a little background on this item, so council directed staff in 2024 to develop a utility assistance program. The program has seen several iterations. We put it out for bid originally. We're not able to find a partner that was within our price range to be able to manage the program. So we have retooled and redesigned the program to operate internally. And so tonight before you is that reworked item. In our very last meeting, council had requested some refinements to kind of strengthen both the signature requirements and some other things. And so all of those changes have been incorporated into the item presented for you this evening. So to walk through this relatively quickly, tonight we're going to walk through the program development, what the proposed framework look like, and then what council's actions requested of. So the pilot itself will be a 6-month program with as a targeted temporary relief for residents who are falling on hard times. The total pilot assistance program is going to be capped at $30,000, which will run about 6 months. Staff is prepared to try to bring this in front of council before that 6 months when we get into the budget to let you know how things are going and how it's moving, so you guys can make plans accordingly for how to deal with this in the next year's with next year's finances. Again, this will be retooled to be administered completely in-house, and we may pause if we run out of money before we get a chance to come back to you, but we'll keep you guys abreast of all the information going on. So the eligibility and hardship is moved through an attestation model. We did model that signature requirement based off of the new legal framework that Amy had mentioned in our last meeting. You have to be a resident of City Kyle, a residential user of City Kyle's water. You do have to be the primary account holder to be able to apply for this. The hardship application is required. The application language was revised based off the feedback we got from this dais, and we have talked about that we may reject them if they're incomplete. We may allow multiple, but the total amount that we will help people has not changed. And we did make it so that notarization is not required, but we do have this new signature requirement. The assistance caps are exactly as we discussed last time, the idea being that no assistance can be provided greater than $600 to any individual, but it does provide us some additional tools so that we can do things like deferred payment agreements, farther extended. Currently, we're capped based off of our previous ordinance at 3 months. This allows us to extend some of those out so we can help people get caught up and not get on the right side of their utility bills. And this does allow us some ability to waive certain fees or penalties. Again, this will adopt it as a 6-month pilot program, approves the framework that's attached, and confirms the program, the purpose. So before you now, you guys have basically 3 options. You can approve the utility assistance program as presented, you can modify it and direct staff to do something different, or deny the resolution. Staff recommends option 1 as presented. I stand by for questions.
All right, any questions?
I have one.
Councilmember Goza.
How are we funding this? So is it coming out of the general fund? Is it coming out of the water fund?
It is coming out of the water fund, water and wastewater fund.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Zapata?
Is the actual program guidelines and the hardship form available in Spanish as well?
They will be. They're not on what was given to you here, but yes, we're working on having them translated right now.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So I do have a question. How will the roundup option be incorporated?
That's something that we'll be having to bring back to you guys within the budget. Basically, we're looking at implementing it. We wanted to allow the framework to do that. We need to get with our internal consultant that works for Tyler so that we can make sure that we set up a fund inside of our financial system so that if utility bill payers elect to round up or make a small donation with paying their utility bill, that money is pooled, set aside, and used properly. And so we're still working out the logistics on that.
I was really hoping it would be with this, that we could get that started sooner rather than later, since this is a pilot program. My fear is if it doesn't work the way we want it to, or it goes by too fast, then we won't get an opportunity to see the roundup option at all.
You could make that.
Is it possible? I don't know what it's going to take in order to add that.
I think we'd have to do some sort of budget amendment to bring in the revenue. Because technically the city's,
Mayor and council, there's also some concerns with software and vendor that we'd have to run down. We're not the ones processing those payments, so the ability to round those up and then, like Joshua was saying, putting in a certain fund, we don't have total control over all that, so we'd have to get with IT and make sure that but that is definitely part of this, and if you approve this tonight, it has nothing to do with our ability to come back and implement a Roundup program as well. They're not tied part and parcel together.
They're not. No, but it does make sense to bring both of them together, just in case this is, I mean, I feel like this money's gonna be gone quick. It's 50 people in a town of, how many water users do we have?
19,000 accounts.
19,000, okay, so, yeah, that's my fear is that, and I heard back from residents, like, this isn't gonna really help, and it's only gonna be 50 people, and so I'm torn between that, but I was like, okay, if we have the ability to do the roundup and get more money, and then we can really see, I mean, that's really what I'd like to depend on at the end of the day. If we put in 30, but we see $90,000 came in from other residents, then that would be worth pursuing, so. Oh. Any motions?
I mean, I think that we can do both,
I agree.
right? Like, so I think we can definitely do both, and we'll just make sure to bring that back. Like y'all said, y'all are working on it. Trust that. So we can definitely bring that back so we can implement the Roundup program. So I guess with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve item number 31.
Second. Can we amend it to have a date to bring that back?
Because I don't know the technological aspect of it, I don't want to set a hard deadline for that.
Could we say like 4 months?
I mean, I think the idea is that it's going to be no later than the budget process because we're trying to get it in there.
Maybe if you want to just say as soon as practical, but I don't know that I have a
I just want to
specific
put it
date.
on somebody's to-do list.
Well, it goes on the to-do list if
Okay.
you make a motion. We absolutely have that, but I don't know if I can give you a hard date on it. I do think it's something in the budget process, but perhaps we could update you when we have a more specific date.
All right, so I got a motion by Councilmember Zapata, a second by myself. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes 6-0. That was agenda item 31, correct?
Yes.
Okay, up next, we have agenda item 32. First reading, consider approval of an ordinance amending Chapter 50, Article 2 of the City of Kyle Code of Ordinances to repeal and replace selected sections and to add new sections 50-32 and 50-33 governing water and waste bill billing and enforcement, to update rules on deposits, penalties, payments, procedures, and related policies to promote consistent service delivery, fairness to customers, and the long-term financial sustainability of the city's utility system.
All right. Thank you, members of council. My name is Joshua Cronley, Assistant Director for Finance. Okay, tonight we're here to talk about updating the utility billing ordinance. The existing ordinance has not been comprehensively updated in many years. Its operational practices may have worked when we were a smaller city, but they have not evolved as the city has grown. And so we wanted there to be more consistency and more clarity around certain operations. And so we have revamped that ordinance to try to provide those consistencies. We're also trying to align with the cost of service with findings and making sure that the system is sustainable. So what the ordinance does is it replaces sections of Chapter 50, Article Section 2. It maintains the core structure of the existing utility framework. It modernizes a lot of the administrative processes and specifically spells out some of the processes on how they work. It also adds tools to improve customer service and enforcement, and supports long-term financial stability of the utility system. Kind of the key updates are around billing cycle clarification. We're now not tying it to a single fixed due date. This is to allow us to have some flexibility moving forward. We would like to turn the city into a multiple cycle city so that everything's not happening all at once. That way we can spread the work that happens in the utility office and in the water office, maybe in quarterly cycles. We also, again, wanted to expand the ability to do the payment plans. The prior ordinance allowed for up to 3 months. We want to extend that out so that people can get right side and get out of the penalties. This also basically clears the order of the payment application process on when the deposits are due, when it's considered delinquent, when those deposits come back, and all of those components. And this also standardizes disconnection and the reconnection process. This does also allow for those new tools, specifically allows for functions like UCAP, allows for the voluntary contribution process that we are looking at bringing back to City Council, and then clarifies enforcement practices as well as the ability to waive penalties and other protections. So Council has two options. Council can approve the ordinance amending Chapter 50, Article 2 of the City of Kyle, or deny. Or I guess you guys have a third. You could send staff back with changes.
All right. Any questions or comments? Did everybody have a chance to look over it?
Yeah, I see this as an opportunity to just add some more flexibility for our water customers, our residents. So yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda item number 32.
All right, a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Councilmember McKinney and a second by Councilmember Harris. All opposed, say aye. I mean, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Long night. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Up next, we have agenda item 33. Consider approval of task order number 26021 with STV Incorporated for the City of Kyle 2026 Water Master Plan update in the amount of $143,020. Item presenter, Mike Murphy.
Thank you, Mayor. Mike Murphy, Director of Water Utilities. So a little bit about the project background. The City of Kyle Water Master Plan was completed in 2025. It helps staff address key issues concerning the city's water supply. Based under historic drought conditions, restrictions on our permitted supplies, historic water consumption, and limited understanding of projected water demand. Prior to 2025, the city had no formal water master plan despite recent model updates. So 2026 Water Master Plan update. The 2025 Water Master Plan was developed using data from 2024 and earlier years. The 2026 Water Master Plan update will be based on the latest development and water supply status conditions. The update will review development and demand projections, update the hydraulic model to reflect recent improvements and updated elevated storage tank data in pressure plane number 1, review existing plans and future water supplies, planned and future water supplies, model updates to pressure plane number 3, and sizing of the Anthem to Farm Market Road 2770 water line. The timeline, the 2026 Water Master Plan update will take approximately 6 months to accomplish. Deliverables, August 2026, we'll get our first draft of the Water Master Plan update with the technical memorandum to the city manager and staff. And then on October 26th, the final draft will be delivered to the city council for approval. And through that process, we will have updates to this process as we go along. You probably will hear about the first one probably in August, September, maybe August or September timeline. So with that, we do have a representative from STV here, if you have any questions, who was instrumental in the completion of the earlier Water Master Plan that we discussed in this presentation. So prior council action, February 20, 2024, council approved the task order with STV Incorporated for the City of Kyle, Incorporated for the City of Kyle 2025 Water Master Plan in the amount of $496,000. On April 15, council adopted the 2025 Master Plan. So option number 1 is to approve task order 260-201 with STV Incorporated for the City of Kyle 2026 Water Master Plan update in the amount of $143,000. Or option number 2, do not approve the task order. So obviously, staff is recommending due to the rapid pace of the growth in our city that we've all experienced, the critical importance of the Water Master Plan, and the need to plan for fiscal year 2027 capital improvement program budget, staff recommends approval of option 1. And so I can address your questions, or I can ask Ryan Owens with STV if you have any questions for the consultant.
All right, do we have any questions or comments? Councilmember McKinney.
I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda item 33.
Second, but I do have questions.
Oh.
Okay, so we do have a motion and a second by myself, a motion by Councilmember McKinney and a second by myself. I think this is an important item because water is one of the most talked about things in our city. And so if we could just have him come up here and tell us what this report is going to entail, so the residents at home and watching can have a good idea of what they're fixing to pay for.
Okay, very well. Ryan?
Thank you.
Come on up.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Ryan Owen with STV. I had worked on the original Water Master Plan for the city starting in 2024. That project included data that was through 2023. In that, we used full calendar year data. And so since we started the project in 2024, the usage data from the city was through that date. Also, the development projections were mid-2024. And so between that time and now, we understand that the densities, the locations of that development has been in flux. And so because that's very important in determining the sizing of pipes that deliver water to different parts of the city, the size of the pumping and storage infrastructure, really getting that right for that development. Part of the one thing that came up early in the previous master plan was the need for transmission capacity of water throughout the city. As a city grows, density can increase. The distance that water has to travel from one part of the city to the other becomes critical. And so the 24 and 30-inch diameter water lines that are being installed now are to really help create more transmission capacity, more conduit for water to flow throughout the city. And so understanding the location of the need really helps make sure that the investments that are being made in these capital projects are sized correctly for today, but more importantly for the long term, so that you're not having to go back into the future and replace a 24-inch water line with a 36-inch water line and having to duplicate that investment. And so the purpose will be primarily to update additional 2 years of actual demand data against the projections that were made, updating the demands in the model to confirm sizing of projects that were recommended. And then there's also been some additional data related to elevations of elevated storage tanks that could impact operations. And so there will also be recommendations for potential operational improvements to get better efficiency throughout the system. And that'll all be summarized in an update and presented to council. One other thing I want to mention, there's been a continued changing in the landscape of options for future water supplies. And so the evaluation of that will also be an important piece of the report update.
Okay, so can you tell me when what's the date of this report? Like, I know I read the 2023 one time and it was like for 2022. So are we looking at 2025?
Yes, data through 2025.
Okay, and how long does that report usually take to come back?
So between authorization, our draft will be delivered in August, and then take any comments, feedback, make updates, and a final in October.
Perfect. Any other questions? Oh, Councilmember Harris.
I just want to make a comment. When I'm at meetings where we're discussing water, which is fairly frequently, I'm always proud of our city and of this water plan. I think it is the most comprehensive of any of the cities in the region. We get compliments on it consistently, that we have actually done the planning, and that we have a plan. Not all cities even have a plan. Some of them do. So I'd like to compliment you on the job you did. It makes it very easy for me to tell citizens and people in the county, this is what we're doing, this, and this. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's been a privilege to work with the team and staff here at the city.
Any other comments? Councilmember Medina.
So you said you're using data from 2025 for this analysis. You mentioned you're using the next 2 years of building projections?
So two separate sides of the evaluation. For the actual water usage data, it's very seasonal with higher uses in the summer, less use in the winter based on just seasonal patterns of water use. And so for that reason, we look at a calendar year generally to come up with an average daily use and then a maximum day within that year to make sure that the supply can provide the average usage throughout the year, but then the system can support a peak day of demand during the highest use day throughout the year. And so for that reason, we'll be looking at the actual usage through the end of 2025. But then for the demand projections, we'll be working with the planning and development teams within the city to get the most up-to-date information available on what's coming, where it will be located, and what the densities of that development will be to just make more updated projections for the future.
So let's say on your last report, something was coming in the next 2 years, but it hadn't happened, and it's been that 2 years, but it's still coming. Is that still in that data and you're adding to it, or are you now moving this to this next 2 years and
That's exactly the part that's
that
starting
whole-
fresh. Yeah, so
Okay.
anything that has already happened will essentially come off the projection side of things and be taken into that is already demand that's in those numbers through 2025.
even if it's delayed and hasn't started yet?
That would be a future demand.
Okay. So moved from that future to the next future?
Yep.
Okay.
And part of the update of the hydraulic water model will be incorporating pipes of developments that have been constructed in that time as well, and then adding the demands from that development to the model.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Councilmember Goza?
When you're doing the water report and you're coming up with all of these CIPs that need to be done in order to keep our system flowing adequately, is it possible to pull out and say like which part of that CIP would be strictly for inside of city limit customers, whether it's mixed, and if it's mixed at what percent, or if it's strictly for out of city limits customers?
Yeah, that would be possible. When we develop those, we look at the water system as a whole, but we develop maps that do have the ability to make a pretty clear distinction between those boundaries or jurisdictions. So that would be an option.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember McKinney and a second by myself. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Thank you very much. Okay, up next, we have staff reports and presentations. Receive a report, hold a discussion, and provide staff feedback regarding Kyle Community Center driveway interim improvements. Item presenter, Cavalli. And this, yep, that's you. All right, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So as the item that you just read mentions, I'm here to present the interim driveway improvements that we're proposing at the new community center at 1500 Daisy Lane. As you all may be aware, the existing driveway to this property from Daisy Lane has limited side distance, which creates safety concerns. And this is particularly for the vehicles exiting the driveway, both making a left and right turn out of the driveway. The permanent driveway improvements for the property are in progress. However, with the community center opening in a couple of months here, we wanted to come up with an interim solution as well so that the community center can be safely open to the public. Okay, sorry, I just need to make sure. So previously, council took action on a few items pertaining to this. The first one was that we had presented a very conceptual level solution to council back in June of 2025, and council directed staff to move forward with the driveway design. And then in December 2025, council approved task order number 9 with BGE to prepare an interim design that provides safe and functional access to the Kyle Community Center, as well as a new driveway design for a long-term solution to ensure safe and full access onto Daisy Lane through the permanent solution. Just to refresh everyone's memory, this is location for the community center. It's marked with the star, yellow star on the image here. The street abutting it to the north-ish is Daisy Lane, and then the other frontage that this property has is onto Daisy Loop. You'll see Kyle Parkway there to the south, and then further south is Bunton Creek. So as I'd mentioned, the safety concerns in particular are to do with site distance. I just have a couple of slides here to talk about the different types of site distance that we typically investigate when we're talking about site distance limitations. So the first one here is stopping site distance. So this is the distance required for a driver traveling at a given speed, generally the posted speed, to perceive an object in the roadway, to react to it, and then to bring the vehicle safely to a complete stop before reaching that object to prevent a collision. Now, based on the table below here, you'll see both the northbound and southbound directions can safely see the vehicles exiting the driveway and stop if needed. So what that means is that if someone is traveling north on Daisy Lane or going south on Daisy Lane, based on the posted speed limit and then the required distance that they need to come to a complete safe stop, they are able to do that. They're able to see beyond that required distance. So there is not an issue for traffic on Daisy Lane for visibility of the driveway. The second type of site distance that we look at when we're talking about access is intersection site distance. So this is the one of concern here. So if drivers are trying to exit Daisy Lane, this would be the distance that they're required to be able to see so that they can safely make the maneuver onto Daisy Lane and then be able to clear any cross traffic in a safe manner without causing a collision. So in the table below, you'll see that to make a left turn from the driveway onto Daisy Lane, they do not have the minimum required side distance, which is 530 feet. They have less than half of that. And then that would be the same direction they would have to be able to clear as well to make a right turn. So basically what this is saying is, and I'll go to the next slide here for visuals. So looking south towards Daisy Lane, that what you see there on the image to the left is pretty much as far as you can see, which is 235 feet. Looking north, drivers are able to see 455 feet, which is a lot more than what is I shouldn't say a lot more, which is more than required minimum intersection side distance. So it's the traffic headed northbound or coming from the south that is of concern here. And we did do some traffic count data collection through here, both for, traffic and speed data collection through here near the driveway. And this is the data that we received. So the average daily traffic, so that's vehicles per day traveling on Daisy Lane headed northbound or coming from south, is 10,814 with an 85th percentile operating speed of 42.2 miles per hour. And then Daisy Lane headed southbound or coming from the north is 10,420 vehicles per day with an operating speed of 47.6 miles per hour. This data was collected over a 3-day period during a typical week. So no school closures, no holidays. So pretty standard kind of traffic activity is expected. And then in evaluating the different options and trying to come up with a recommended solution, these were the different design considerations that were evaluated. And I should have mentioned this earlier, but we do have someone from the project team within BGE that's here today. If y'all have any very specific questions pertaining to the design evaluation. But diving into design considerations, we did look at potential for an always stop at this location. So that would be stopping the north and southbound traffic on Daisy Lane to facilitate maneuvers out of the driveway or into the driveway. Unfortunately, it does not meet the required criteria for from Texas MUTCD. There's 4 to 5 different categories that have to be met, one of them being volume of traffic on all directions, and then also the interruption of traffic that is caused by installing an always stop. And the challenge with installing an unwarranted traffic control device is that there are some studies that indicate that it increases the crash risk and it does add to the delays, especially for the major street, which in this case is Daisy Lane. And because of the heavy turning maneuvers that happen at Daisy Lane and Kyle Parkway, because a lot of people tend to come off of Bunton and go north and then turn left onto Kyle Parkway and vice versa, depending on time of day. This could negatively impact the operations at that intersection as well with traffic backup. Another option that we looked at was a traffic signal. With this being a private driveway with very limited traffic going in and out of there, even with the projected volumes from the community center, it would not meet the warrants from Texas MUTCD for a signalized intersection. Usually the always stop tends to be the stepping stone for potentially installing a traffic signal. So with it not meeting an always stop warrant, the thresholds for a signal are much, much higher than an always stop. And they come with the same negative impacts of that are associated with installing unwarranted traffic control devices. So those 2 options were evaluated, but unfortunately we just don't have the minimum required criteria from the Texas MUTCD. So another option that we looked at was to potentially install a center turn lane. This was going to be using the existing cross-section and just repurposing some of the lanes to create a center turn lane. So that would mean that we would reduce capacity on Daisy Lane to 1 lane northbound and 1 lane southbound. And as y'all saw a couple of slides earlier, we're talking about a roadway that carries 20,000 plus vehicles in a day on average. So reducing that down to 1 lane in each direction would significantly impact the throughput on Daisy Lane, which again would cause traffic potentially to spill back to Kyle Parkway and maybe even further south to Bunton. So in addition to that, we would essentially change the way the street functions in this area. So that would have the potential to create a lot of driver confusion for any commuting traffic that's headed through there, especially if there's limited activity in and out of that driveway on a daily basis. With all that, the interim solution that we're coming to you with today is, again, this is interim solution only. We are working on the permanent solution in parallel, is to limit the egress out of the driveway to right turns only and to reduce Daisy Lane to 1 northbound lane at the driveway location. And then it's probably a lot easier if I just go to the visual here. I'll come back to that slide there. So what you see here is essentially we would reduce the northbound lane. So for the traffic coming from the south from Bunton, the traffic, the lane would be reduced to a single lane northbound, and we would repurpose the outside lane or the curb lane to be a right turn only into the driveway. And then we would also take that lane further north of the driveway as well to create a protected, basically, lane for traffic exiting the driveway. Because as you all saw earlier, even to make a right turn, those vehicles do not have enough sight distance to be able to make that turn safely. So to create, by creating this channelization, both for the traffic entering and exiting the driveway, we're able to give them that safe passage out of the driveway. And because of how Daisy Loop is located in relation to Daisy Lane, Daisy Loop, the southern terminus, also has the same limited sight distance as the driveway for 1500 Daisy. So we're limiting access from that southern intersection as well. And while I'm on this path, so in the interim condition, traffic wanting to go back south towards Kyle Parkway and or Bunton Lane would have to come to the north end of Daisy Loop and then be able to make their left turn back out onto Daisy Lane. This is so the only movement we would be restricting in this scenario is the left turns out of the driveway, essentially. All other movements are going to be able to make that maneuver safely, functionally. We're not foreseeing any issues with that. It's just the left turns out of the driveway cannot be accommodated with the driveway as it is currently or with the Daisy Loop southern terminus into Daisy Lane. So those vehicles would have to go to the northern end to make that left turn onto Daisy Lane. And now that I'm all over the place with my slides, let me go back to this slide. So we didn't want to transition the vehicles kind of halfway between those two intersections of Bunton and Kyle Parkway. So to try and minimize driver confusion, and with the predominant movement there being that right turn from Bunton Lane to go north on Daisy and then to make a left onto Kyle Parkway, we're kind of carrying that one through lane from that intersection all the way past the Daisy Loop southern intersection. And then, so this would just be some restriping in the northbound direction to facilitate that. We're not modifying anything in the southbound direction headed towards Bunton Creek or at Kyle Parkway. That's still going to stay the same as it is today. It's just the northbound direction will be temporarily impacted by this modification. Talked about the detour plan. And we are, like I said, working on a long-term solution in parallel to this effort, and that is going to entail potentially a driveway connection onto Daisy Loop, and then determining how to safely and functionally provide that left turn egress back onto Daisy Lane for traffic headed south. In terms of timelines, these are what we're looking at right now. So final design is 90% of the final design is anticipated in June of this year, and then in July of this year, we're anticipating 100% design for the long-term solution. But as you all know, the community center is going to be opening to the public on June 9th, which is why we have the need to come up with a temporary/interim solution here. And in order to do that, we are going to be working with our Public Works in-house team, along with the contractor that we use for long line striping, to be able to complete the installation in time for the opening. And this is a pretty conservative estimate here, but we do have some design, construction, some right-of-way challenges that we're working with. So factoring all that in, we anticipate this taking maximum 18 months, but we're hoping to get this up and going maybe in that 12 to 14 month time frame. Staff is recommending that the interim improvements that I showed earlier be approved, so that we can get those in place in time for the community center opening in June, early June. And I can take questions.
All right, Councilmember Harris.
I'm wondering if the site distance and design of the roadway are taking into consideration that most of the people coming out of there will be elderly. Does NTSB or the Highway Administration have enhanced guidelines related to areas that are predominantly senior citizens, because our lateral vision is bad. We can't turn our necks. There are really some serious limitations physically that make this kind of a road just really bad.
Yeah, that is a great question. So AASHTO is the manual that we refer to for sight distance requirements across all our roadways. And there are factors that are added for specific demographics. People that have slower response times, for example, or if the roadway in itself has a vertical grade, there's factors that we can apply that just means that there's enhanced sight distance requirements to be met. For stopping sight distance, because the traffic on Daisy Lane has a lot more cushion in order to make the turns into the driveway, we don't think that that's going to be the challenge. But with egress being limited for, I'm going to say, an average driver, the chances of the criteria being much, much higher for seniors is highly likely for the egress.
So those have been considered in this?
Yes. Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm nervous. I'm not going to lie. This looking at this makes me really nervous because I guess what we're asking them to do if they want to turn left is to go back around and then come out that way, which makes sense because it's safer that way. I wish there was an easier way to just cut through the parking lot. We don't own that, but it would be nice if we could just have a direct access to that and then loop back around. What is good?
That's part of the long-term plan.
Yeah, but
18 months.
Yeah, that's a long time and if you'll go back to the front where it okay, so right there off of 1500 Daisy Lane, the entrance and exit, what's going to stop people from going left? Is there going to be a median raise? What are they going to put there?
Yeah, my apologies. I kind of skipped over that.
Okay.
So we will be putting vertical delineators, so those flexi posts, like the ones we just installed at Burleson and Spring Branch, and then the ones we have already at Kyle Center Marketplace to limit certain movements. So we'll basically be creating a channelization using those to prevent people from making that left turn out. So it will be physically restricted to right in, right out only. Sorry, right in, left in, and right out only. Yeah.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Feedback, guys? They're going to kind of need to know. That's what you're looking for is feedback, right?
I feel like the sooner the better. The more that we can kind of coach and train the traffic pattern itself before opening, the better. That way, drivers that hit that road on a regular basis, they're familiar with it before we start putting our elderly in harm's way, for lack of a better phrase.
And this isn't going to take away any lanes, is it?
It kind of is.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm also wondering too, because we've got brand new road projects that straddle this property. And what kind of impact is that going to have on the traffic pattern on Daisy? My expectation and my hope is that this particular stretch of Daisy will end up with less traffic because more people will use the other avenues that are available to them, but you can't plan for that.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's not just the amount of traffic. This road has a lot of blind spots. And I drive this road all the time, and it just makes me really, really nervous. I would have never imagined putting a light, even if it was warranted, I wouldn't be comfortable because there's a blind spot to me, like right off of Daisy Lane, off of Daisy Loop. It's hard to see, and you don't want to make traffic that's going 45 miles an hour come to an abrupt stop. So I feel bad. I feel like this is your best. You guys are doing your best, and so
agreed. Yeah.
Well, we knew that this was an important issue. As we talked about this facility before, we wanted to come back with a well thought out plan, and so we wanted to look at it very carefully to bring you our best. I know it may not be perfect, but it is what we think is the best solution, at least on the interim basis. And we do have plans to do other things in the future, but we wanted to make sure we saw it. I gave it to you. You could see it, think through it, and make sure if you had any other questions, we could try to answer those. But we wanted these improvements or something like this to be in place, but when the facility opens, so that's the goal.
One more question.
It's not an action item, but we were just looking for any direction or feedback that you might have.
Okay, Councilmember Harris?
So 45 miles an hour seems like it's going to be really fast with this facility there. Is there, especially coming off Bunton, it seems like you should not be up to 45 miles an hour by the time you get there. Could we have reduced speed like 30, 35 miles an hour coming up to the Daisy Loop intersection and then increase the speed to 45 for later? But I think even at that Kyle Parkway intersection, coming into that intersection at 45 is dangerous.
I thought of that too, but I mean, it's a 45 mile an hour road just by design. You could put a 5 mile an hour speed limit on it and people are just going to hit that road, and just because of the way it was built and the way you as a driver just perceive the actual act of driving,
True.
You're naturally going to go 45 on that just because of how it was
But I
designed.
think if the signs say 30 or 35, a significant portion of the traffic will slow down.
So to add to what Councilmember McKinney mentioned, because it is a posted speed limit right now, so the way the state statute is written, and I don't know exactly the legal language, but there is something called the prima facie speed that is established through the Texas State Transportation Code. So in order for us to reduce an established speed limit, we would have to go out there and do an operating speed assessment. And any modifications to the existing posted speed limit would have to be based on that speed assessment. And like Councilmember McKinney mentioned, because there's no, I'm going to use the word friction, there's no friction there, there's no reason for traffic to slow down. We can certainly explore that avenue, but I just want to set realistic expectations that the results may not be in the direction that we want to head in.
Well, I think there is friction there because we're moving that to one lane.
So yeah, we can certainly look into that post these modifications. I mean, we can definitely, I mean, we already have the data pre-installation from the speed data collection. So we can go out there and do the same kind of data collection post these interim improvements, and then see what the operating speeds show us then, and then come back to you all with a potential recommendation based on those findings.
No, that's a great point. Those lane delineators will kind of naturally slow people down going at least in that northbound, which is kind of what we're most concerned about.
So I'm kind of a fan of the flashing speed light that tells you how fast you're going. I mean, it's just something to slow people down. I see them all the time in when I'm driving in Westlake, and it's kind of a reminder like, hey, if I can see how fast I'm going, then I worry more that the police will. And so if we can get a deterrent that's simple like that, I think that would at least help mitigate or make people aware of the speed.
Yeah, we can certainly install the speed radar boards out there so that they have that feedback mechanism. Absolutely. And we could do that with the installation or even pre-installation, really.
Okay. Any other comments?
How will these changes affect the traffic further back on Daisy? Like, because you're putting everything into one lane, so what's going to be the overall effect of that?
So when we collected the 24-hour data or the vehicles per day, we did look at kind of the peak hour volumes through there. So we're talking, I'm going off memory here, so apologize if they're not going to be precise, but the AM and PM peak hour traffic or the rush hour traffic is around that 900 to 910 mark per hour. So engineering principles indicate that, generally speaking, in a free flow type condition, which this technically is for Daisy Lane, somewhere between that 14 to 1,500 vehicles per hour is when you start to really feel that congestion. So traffic should still be able to move through here. Can they maintain their current operating speed? Probably not, but they're not going to be coming to like a standstill or like driving at 20 miles an hour or anything like that. And that kind of limited capacity is really only that 1 or 2 hours in a 24-hour period, because that's when you have a lot of that congestion type traffic headed northbound on Daisy.
with the change in the traffic patterns and it affecting those other buildings, is there anything that we need to do for notification to them? How might their business be affected from their patrons coming out and no longer being able to turn left?
So through this change, we're really not modifying access to any of the properties south of here. The striping is changing, and of course, they are losing that additional lane that they have there today. So the curb lane or the outside lane is going away. But beyond some of the striping modifications, we're not modifying how they ingress and egress out of their properties. But based on the feedback we've gotten today, we have in our plan, we typically tend to work with comms to do notifications prior to us making the modifications in the street, so that way we give them some time to feedback and to process whatever changes we're proposing. So we do intend to kind of notify the 4 or 5 businesses that are impacted by this change.
Okay. Normally, though, when you've got like a solid yellow line, that's don't cross over that. So I would think that their patrons might be like, how do I get out of here if I'm going to turn left? So
I'll have to double check this, but I believe as you get closer to Kyle Parkway, that restriction might be existing. I'm looking at Jacob to see if he somehow memorized this, but that double yellow line may be there today, and if not, we can modify it so that it is conducive to allowing those maneuvers that are allowed today.
Okay,
But
thank
yes,
you.
yeah.
I do have a question on Daisy Loop. I see the orange triangle and then it goes all the way down. And right on Daisy Loop, you can only take a right? What is that traffic gonna look like?
Are you talking like the Daisy Loop connection right next to the 1500 Daisy?
Right next to it.
Okay. So that intersection has the exact same side distance issues to make a left turn out onto Daisy Lane. So any traffic headed to that section of Daisy Loop wouldn't be able to make a left turn as well with these interim improvements. Is that what you're asking?
Well, I'm kind of worried it's all gonna be right too. They're all gonna be going right. How hard is it gonna be to get out of that since it's all gonna be one lane out of 1500 Daisy Lane? Like, what is the holdup on Daisy Loop? What is that gonna look like?
To make a left turn to go south.
No, to make it right, because everybody's gonna be going right, correct?
Right, yeah, so they would be entering that same protected lane to go north on Daisy Lane.
Okay, can we try the next slide? Maybe I'm misunderstanding this.
Or the other one?
Oh, that Daisy Loop coming back around going left.
I have to imagine that's the current traffic pattern for everybody that lives down there too. Like, they're probably used to making that right out of their driveway and then taking that left if they're going to head that direction on Daisy.
Yeah, but
just
that's
for the safety side of it.
That's where all the seniors are gonna go, right? And then they're gonna go left. So they're gonna have to go through, what is that, 3 lanes of traffic?
Yes, to cross back and turn.
Yeah, I kind of worry about that too, because it looks like we're almost pushing the issue down.
We did verify that the northern intersection of Daisy Loop with Daisy Lane didn't have the same side distance limitations that the southern intersection does. So there are no limitations with being able to make left turns out of there. It may be just waiting for a gap in traffic, but like it mentioned, the peak hour traffic is around that 900 to 910 vehicles per hour in each direction. So outside of the peak hours, the traffic tends to be relatively limited. It's just in the peak hours in the morning and evening that it may be slightly congested.
Okay,
But that is
how far is that from the stoplight?
from Daisy and Downing.
Yes.
I don't have the exact number, but probably at least a quarter mile, if not further.
Okay, I'm just hoping that it would bring it some relief, because I don't want them to have to stay there and hang out for a long time, because then they might just try to go.
Make that,
And then,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I mean, generally, as you guys know, traffic signals do tend to provide kind of that inherent gap in traffic. But that's something that we can certainly look at as well. I'll actually be coming back for council authorization to do a task order amendment for our striping contract. So when I come back with that item, I can try to add a couple more slides to answer the questions that I've gotten today and feedback.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Any other questions?
I think,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think just what I was imagining is like a slip lane, kind of like what we did on Spring Branch and Burleson, as you're turning out left there off of Daisy Loop and Daisy Lane. So that way it allows some sort of protection for that channel to get in safely. So that way, if they decide to just go for it, at least there's like those vertical delineators to protect them so they can safely like enter that.
Yeah, and with Burleson and Spring Branch, there's no sight distance issue, so we were just facilitating a maneuver that was able to occur safely. With this, because they have basically not zero, but very limited visibility for traffic on their left, so like to look south. So us doing a slip lane for the left turning traffic wouldn't really help much because they're still not able to see the traffic coming towards them from the south. So
Let me clarify. Were you talking about taking a left out of the Daisy Lane property or taking that left off of Daisy Loop?
Off of Daisy Loop.
Yeah, she's talking about on the screen that you got now, then the bottom right, that left turn from Daisy Loop onto Daisy Lane, having a possible slip lane.
Yeah, so basically just creating another kind of protected lane for the left turn traffic to merge into.
Exactly.
I mean, we can certainly implement that, but that would mean that traffic headed southbound would also be limited in capacity because we would have to reduce the southbound traffic on Daisy Lane to one lane as well to accommodate that. Because we don't have a center turn lane that's there already like we do on Burleson at Spring Branch. It's a 4-lane cross section, so whatever changes we do, we would be taking away throughput, basically.
Okay. I guess I was just trying to just toss it out there to come up with maybe a potential solution just to make it a little bit easier, a little bit more safe, especially like if Councilmember Harris pointed out that we do have elderly individuals who will be using that turn. And just trying to make it a little bit more safe for them if possible. And I think, yeah, it was just an idea to toss out.
And we can certainly look at it, but it would just come with the reduced capacity for the southbound direction as well. But we can certainly look at it.
We appreciate this is not an easy task. So thank you for all your hard work and we appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Part of my job.
I like that attitude. All right. I think that's it. We are adjourned.